What?
People in Alert Bay say they've been hearing strange screams and howls from the forest at night. It's an eerie recording captured on a cell phone.
We heard it once, and I didn't get the recording. Second time, I got the recording, and I was on the back porch. Very eerie.
This summer, I've heard it 3 times. I've heard it scream 3 times. But it's been coming here for years. She went up to the graveyard to pay respects to one of her family. And when she went up to the graveyard, she seen it standing there. She turned around and she got out of there right away. She didn't even go to the graveyard.
Yeah, they took off right away. They don't even stay there anymore after the dark.
One man says he encountered the mythic beast just last week.
I tried to call him.
He got something that frightened even the self-proclaimed mountain man.
This thing was 10 foot tall. He had beautiful hair. I come out here and rough talked him and run him off.
Got him to leave, called 911, then the creature came back.
And I said, get away from here. Get. And he went right back out that path again. It looked like he had 6 fingers on each hand.
It scared me. There was a 8 to 10 foot hairy man looking person was killing some animals, breaking in chicken houses, killing chickens.
Not just one, he says 3 different Bigfoot stared at him from the hill. This is just a snippet of 10 minutes of video Teek says he recorded.
He's moving.
Some believe a legend lives among them.
Like, I couldn't believe that my eyes had actually seen it. You know.
Viscardi claims to have found the creature's footprints and a mysterious hand that he claims was DNA tested and found to be something totally unknown.
This is a hotbed where a real true Bigfoot researcher is going to stay.
There have been dozens of alleged Bigfoot sightings since 1998.
You see how easy of a vantage point for something in the night, in the dark, to be sitting right here looking down at us at our campfire?
On the way up the mountain, one member of the team claims he had a possible sighting. They found clear large tracks.
Look what we got here.
There's another one up here.
They're not dumb, there's some sort of intelligence.
They believe Bigfoot is nocturnal, and this footage shows what Viscardi believes is a creature. See that movement far right of the video of something running to the left, then crossing again, knocking down a tree.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
It was a bluebird January morning here in the foothills of northeast Provo when a group of guys saw a figure on the mountain that looked like something they've never seen before.
She says the Sasquatch sighting started back in March.
There's one, there's another one.
Footprints are Vicky's proof.
A 16-inch plaster cast. That's a big print.
It was huge. It was on 2 legs. It was bipedal. The hair on the head and the body was real stringy and matted. There was no hair on the face and the nose was flat.
A creature that's that big is going to have a consistent water source and a large food source. There just isn't the water there to be able to sustain these sorts of creatures. If these creatures are out there, they have to die at some point. Why isn't anybody finding them?
I spoke to a curator from the Natural History Museum of Utah who says it's safe to say that Sasquatch is not something that would even exist.
What's the likelihood that there are big animals that have gone undetected by scientists and by trained observers? There are lots of undiscovered things, particularly in the natural world, but they don't take the form of giant apes.
I've been interested in cryptids and monsters since I was a kid. From the Loch Ness Monster to the lizard men, every cryptid has interested me at one point, but over the years, Bigfoot has really captured my interest. And it all started when I was a kid, and I saw that infamous footage of a Bigfoot crossing the river. Bigfoot is a cultural icon. It's a cryptid that almost everybody knows. But did you know that they've supposedly kidnapped people, murdered people, impregnated people, and had human Bigfoot babies? We're going to talk about that today. But according to most scientists, Bigfoot isn't real, and the hundreds of thousands, the millions of people that have seen him across the world are all lying. But join us today as we examine hundreds of those stories and search for Bigfoot ourselves in a small town in Minnesota known as the Bigfoot capital of America. There have been hundreds of reports of Bigfoot in this town, and we captured something absolutely disturbing on camera during our investigation there. So let's cut now to Remer, Minnesota.
All right.
Okay.
We made it to Remer.
Woo!
Remer. Here we are. First stop in town is Bigfoot Gift Shop. Look at that.
Hi.
Dude, look at this.
Damn, Bigfoot cheeked up.
Holy shit. Dude, look at this. Go around and find out.
We gotta get some fucking Bigfoot shit.
I don't know, Bigfoot fly swatter?
Christmas ornament?
I actually just bought a Bigfoot Christmas ornament.
Really?
Yeah, like a week ago. Oh, they got these things that you just throw on the ground. Look at, these are the real prints that they found here. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, that is a Bigfoot.
Indeed it is.
Wait, holy shit, actually. Imagine, put your foot up next to it.
I thought I saw a Bigfoot, yet I ran away.
I think it's more
Yeti.
Yeti.
Alright, yeah,
Yeti.
Yeti.
Look at that. Dude. I mean, that's pretty crazy when you think about people finding something like that out here. I don't know if the camera really can pick up how big that is compared to my foot.
What'd you guys find?
Look at, check that out.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Real Bigfoot artifacts. That's kind of exciting.
I know, right?
It's not a party until Bigfoot comes out. I like that one.
I was trying to wonder how they got Jeff a sculpture of him in here.
What?
No, remember the Mothman, how he had a big ass?
Oh yeah, he was toned.
Go look at Bigfoot over there.
Oh wow. Got some healthy cheeks. Holy moly. A little Brazilian butt lift.
That's exactly
if you look straight
like,
on at it.
I know. It's exactly like
Bigfoot's got
Mothman
big-
statue's got a big butt too.
He's got good buns.
Since we're in Point Pleasant, you know we had to come pay a visit to the famous
Here he is.
Mothman statue.
It's pretty dope actually. I like it. I wish we saw that.
Yeah, this is probably the closest we're gonna get to Mothman, but you never know. Mothman looks like he works out pretty frequently.
He's ripped.
Look at that. I'm kind of jealous of the Mothman. Holy shit. What are we working with back here?
Oh, dude.
Oh, shit. Mothman is thick, boy. I feel like
the Sherman out on that one.
I know, I feel like I shouldn't be looking at this, man. Mothman, dude, you gotta put some pants on, bro.
Wow.
That's really a Mothman right there.
Those are two nice healthy buttocks right there. Or is it just one? One buttocks. Is it a buttocks? Butt?
I don't even know.
See a moth.
We gotta get something Bigfoot.
Squishy Bigfoot BFF.
I know, I saw that.
Aww.
It is interesting though, when you really think about a foot that big.
Yes.
Like finding that.
Oh my god. That's really cool. It's pretty interesting, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited to ask them, like, what do they think it is? What are these all?
She said her friend's seen Bigfoot, but she hasn't. Watch for the screech.
The sloth emerged from these woods. It's creepy. A Bigfoot menaced their dog. Look at that. Look how tall he's saying the Bigfoot was.
Oh my gosh.
More Bigfoot activity here. This is an interesting book.
Uh-huh.
Bigfoot crossed the road.
It's very cool.
That's some eerie photos. And look at all these. I mean, all these places where they've seen Bigfoot. And look at all these
I
just...
mean, that's kind of crazy.
all these people that have had Bigfoot experiences. Rural home used as a cabin. Several years, over a few years, a Bigfoot was seen and heard many times. 6 to 7 feet tall, light brown in color. 2 men went after it with a shotgun, certain they'd hit it. It fled, roared, and was never seen again.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, look at all these.
A Bigfoot like...
Holy shit, look at near Remer area. He went to go play fort and steal comic books. On the way back home, they heard footsteps thumping, grunting in the woods. Came back and found Bigfoot tracks. So many. Look at, I mean, how can you deny that something's going on here?
Right.
267, 292 Bigfoot sightings, and then these are just all in the counties around here. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
Let's hope we see him tonight.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Here we are. I need a big Coke because it's cold as hell out. Connor, you want to journal a little bit, buddy? I forgot you can't read or write.
Yeah, no point.
Say that again. Jeff just walked over and what did he say?
This is my new screensaver.
Oh my god.
That's the me, little Bigfoot. Hey man, my foot feels pretty big.
Where's my beef jerky at, boy?
I don't know. What does a Bigfoot say? What's a quote from Bigfoot?
Hey,
I don't have that big a feet.
hey, quit staring at me like everybody. I'll come and eat you, boy.
Hey, don't look for me. I don't want to be found.
I got a nice workout in my squats today. Did you see my rear?
Now, you're probably wondering at this point why this small town is known as the Bigfoot capital of America. Well, we have some serious deep diving to get into. And I promise you, by the end of this video, I think you'll agree that this place definitely deserves the title of the Bigfoot capital of America.
There are just under 400 residents of Remer, and one in particular is considered a celebrity.
In this week's Finding Minnesota, John Lorson shows us how this Northwoods town became the home of Bigfoot.
In our area, if you walk anywhere off roads up here, the woods are deep and dark, and if you walk for 100 yards, you can't see back where your car is.
The town of Remer is surrounded by hundreds of acres of woods and marshes, a perfect place for squirrels, bears, and maybe even Bigfoot.
This town was founded in the early 1900s, and there were sightings all the way back to then.
In 2009, a trail camera near Remer captured what looked like a real-life Sasquatch. It was fake, but it gave lifelong resident Mark Ruyak an idea.
I trademarked the town as the home of Bigfoot, and we began to take away the stigma.
About half the town loved it. The other half thought it was a little hairy. But in 2016, Remer's first ever Bigfoot days drew thousands of people. After that, Bigfoot could be found everywhere. And these are made by a local company?
Correct. Okay. Yep, they're a local company. They make them, we sell them in the gas station.
That gas station is called Bigfoot Gas and Gifts, and other businesses have embraced the beast. Even the Woodsman Cafe sells Bigfoot burgers and Bigfoot hash browns.
Trust me, the Bigfoot hash browns, Bigfoot would be satisfied with them.
But he really has his footprint on Bigfoot days. That's when they have the Bigfoot Olympics, Bigfoot Barbecue, and perhaps the most important event, storytelling time. Hundreds of people have an open mic to talk about their experiences with Sasquatch himself.
We've had like 70 and 80-year-old people who have never told their story in their whole life stand up and start crying as they tell this story that happened when they were 13 years old and scared them to death.
The sighting, the folklore, and even the mystique around town have even drawn Bigfoot research teams to Remer.
I was just talking with a gentleman prior to you guys coming up who told me about his sighting last year.
24 years ago, Abe Del Rio founded the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. He enjoyed studying primates and was inspired by the famous 1967 Patterson footage captured in California.
We bring our equipment, night vision, thermal imaging, long-range hearing devices. We go out there and use different techniques to try to lure and gain communication with these creatures. Remer has everything that a Bigfoot requires: food, shelter, and habitat. I mean, it's the perfect location.
Del Rio says there are about 5 or 6 alleged sightings a year near the town, which is why he keeps coming back, though he's yet to see one himself. The dimensions of this Bigfoot here, would that be about accurate, do you think?
Well, this is what we would say about an average size one, a juvenile.
That's a Bigfoot plaster cast that was taken near Remer, Minnesota.
So that's an actual footprint somebody found?
Yes, sir.
Mark is more skeptical and not entirely a believer, but he loves what the legend is doing for his town. Guest books show people coming from across the world to investigate. Real or not, the Bigfoot Trail leads right to Remer.
If you're at all around the world interested in Bigfoot, there's one place to come, and it's Remer, Minnesota.
In Cass County with photojournalist Dave Cheney, John Lorson.
Now, before we get into our interviews and our investigation, I want to present to you a couple of clips that I find to be particularly interesting. Now, obviously, there have been tens of thousands of videos recorded that supposedly show Bigfoot over the years, but there are a few videos that I found online showing alleged Bigfoot encounters that happen near the area of Remer, Minnesota, that in my mind have particular validity. And these videos are just straight up bone-chilling. In a way, they remind me of that scene in Signs when the people catch the alien on camera. The first video we're going to take a look at was recorded between Grand Marais and Grand Portage, Minnesota. In the video, a child is chopping wood for the first time while his family records him, and they capture something disturbing on camera in the background.
This is Chase chopping wood for the first time. All right, here we go. Oh, boo! Come on. Oh yeah! Woo! Nice one. Very good. Very, very, very good. Woo!
The second video that we're going to take a look at was recorded in Ely, Minnesota. Now, this one's shaky and a little bit harder to see, but this was posted 13 years ago, and I don't know, something about this video just screams legit to me. And if you really take a look at the footage, you can see the figure in the distance walking amongst the tree line.
John, what the hell is that? Dude, what the? I'm fucking recording right now. What the fuck is that? What the hell is that, dude? You see fucking God, what the fuck? Oh shit. Dude! What the hell is that? Fuck, hey! Get your knife!
I don't know. Something about this just screams legit. But the third video I want to show you is definitely the spookiest. According to the person that posted this video, this happened on Christmas 2014 in northern Minnesota. And something about this encounter once again just seems legit, from the way that the dog's acting to the family. And this right here, this video, is what reminded me of that scene in Signs. Just take a look.
Say Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Got a tree. Oh my God. Did you see that?
Something's behind the garage.
Did you see that?
No, what was it?
It was really big. Oh my God, do you see it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. No way.
That can't be.
What the hell? Oh my God, are you getting this?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Where's it at? Up in the woods.
Oh.
Oh, here goes.
Oh no.
We're real scared of them. Ref. Stay here, Ref. You stay here.
Let me get closer. I don't know. I hear something though. I still hear it. You guys hear it? Yeah, it is. Riff! Come on, Riff! It's gonna come out in the clearing.
Oh, there it is, right over there.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We better get back inside, guys.
Yeah.
So those videos were all creepy. I mean, they definitely creeped me out, but it's up to the viewer to decide if they think that they're legit or not. In my investigations, I've always wanted more than videos you can find online, more than evidence that other people have captured. So right now I'm going to play you a clip that I recorded in West Virginia back in 2022, when I was given a personal tour of the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum. This is crazy.
My name is Janet Six, and you are in the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum. This big guy over here started it all. A local gentleman is from a nearby community, is a wood carver, and he surprised us one day with this wood carving of Bigfoot. And that began the conversations with other customers coming into the little country store. They would see it and be like, I know a story about from my grandfather or from my uncle, or I saw one of those a few weeks ago on the family farm. Then later this gentleman, Les Odell, came in. This is his collection. All these casts are original, have been found in West Virginia. He saw a posting on Facebook of the carving, wanted to come and see it. Then the conversation started. He wished he had a place to show and display his cast. And then he connected us with a different gentleman, Daniel Boone Smith. And these are also casts from West Virginia and are original that he's found. So these are two Bigfoot researchers from West Virginia. We have some copies of some of their casts as well so people can see them. So that's how it all started.
So, a lot of Bigfoot sightings around here.
Yes, there's been numerous sightings around the lake, specifically the Wolf Creek area, up in the backwaters of the Sutton Lake and the Elk River. So that brings it into the community. And then there's been sightings throughout West Virginia, as you can see by some of the labels on where these casts have been found.
And what do people usually describe Bigfoot as when they see it, I guess?
Actually, a lot of them consider it an ape-like creature. Most of them consider it harmless. Actually, a lot of individuals who spoke said that they don't really want people on their property or tell people specifically where they saw it because it's harmless and they don't want anybody to hurt it.
It's not evil like that. That guy looks kind of evil over there.
That guy looks a little bit bad. He looks like he might be a little bit mad. But no, most people say that he's very friendly. We've actually had a gentleman coming in who told stories of multiple generations have traded with it, where they know the smell of the Bigfoot and they'll smell it near the family farm. They'll leave out a basket of root crops near the edge of the property in the woods, and the next day there'll be a small offering back, like a dead rabbit, a dead squirrel, something like that. So they've literally traded with Bigfoot for multiple generations.
Really?
Yeah.
Traded with Bigfoot?
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of people coming in to tell stories. We actually have a book here that Les Odell's collected of stories throughout the state.
And you've never seen Bigfoot?
I've never seen Bigfoot.
Would you want to see Bigfoot?
Yes, I would love to see Bigfoot. We've joked about, a couple of us here have joked about going camping out in the woods and just seeing what we could find, but we have yet to do that.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
I guess you technically get to see Bigfoot all the time.
Yeah, technically we do, yeah. The same gentleman who did the first carving has done this one as well.
Wow.
And this is actually a technique that Les Odell's came up with. He does a rubbing of the cast so you can see the better detail. Because sometimes the casts are hard to see. And these are the etchings of these two casts here specifically.
Wow. Yeah, it is kind of hard to see.
Yeah, when you look at them, there's not a lot of detail coming out. But when you come up here, you can see actual individual toes, a little bit more of the heel, the ball of the foot.
I would say that is one big foot.
Very big foot.
When we arrived in Remer, Minnesota, we knew that we had to speak to some locals. We had lots of people we wanted to talk to. By the way, if you hear any of the music in this episode and you like it, it's music from one of my best friend's band. It's called High Horse. You can check them out on any streaming service. They're super talented. But to start out our investigative journey, we went to a local motel in Remer, where we were meeting up with a man named Abe Del Rio. Now, you may have seen Abe on some other programs about Bigfoot sightings in the area. He's a pretty infamous local figure. And what he was about to tell us and show us was going to blow our minds. And that's not even mentioning what happened to us later that night in the deep woods that surround the small town of Remer. Anyways, please go into this with an open mind, because this is absolutely crazy.
All right. I'm good whenever you want to start, man.
So October 20th, 1967, Bluff Creek, California was an important date for Bigfoot and Bigfoot researchers. That's where Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin rode out that day in search of trying to find some kind of evidence. Lo and behold, that they would actually come upon something. They came upon a female Bigfoot in Bluff Creek, California. Their horses reared and Bob fell to the ground. Actually, it was Roger that fell to the ground. And while Bob gathered his horse. Long story short, this is from that female Bigfoot from Bluff Creek, California of October 20th, 1967. However, in 1958 is where the term Bigfoot originated from by a road construction worker by the name of Jerry Crew. They found a lot of Bigfoot's footprints, as you can see, around their equipment. These ones were found by a deputy sheriff officer. You got the right foot and the left foot, which is pretty rare in itself. But this is from the west coast of Washington, eastern part of Gray Harbors County, found by Deputy Sheriff Dennis Hereford back in 1982. And there was a series of good tracks and everything like that that came up from there. Bigfoot knuckle prints from Walla Walla, Washington. And you can just see, there's like, can you imagine the hand that's sticking out from like right there?
Holy shit, I mean the feet are, I mean, they're big, they're huge.
Yeah.
Like, when you actually see them, it's like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we got knuckle prints. And then this also comes out of the same area of Walla Walla, Washington. This is a Bigfoot hand. Now, I got this from Dr. Jeff Meldrum many years ago, and this ain't the end of the tips. The tips are about 33% longer than what is filmed here or casted here, because it was found in silt, which washed away a lot of the other detail. So this is actually a little bit bigger, and a creature to have a hand like that, I mean, we're talking easily 10 foot creature, I would say. So
I mean, that's insane. I've never seen a hand like that.
Yeah, you got one heck of a grip, I'll tell you that. Definitely pull your arm out of your socket.
Go put, for comparison, your hand on top of it. Let's see. I mean, that's crazy. Holy shit, man.
I can't even spread it out that far, but yeah.
And then it goes up further.
It's going to be up here.
Yeah, probably about right up here, about 33% longer than what's been casted.
That's crazy. Handshake.
That's a tight grip, like you said. Well,
is that a normal type? I mean, that would be bigger, a bigger Bigfoot than this.
Well, for a hand associated with it, this one, you're probably looking right about maybe 8 to 9. See, she was about 7 foot. Okay, so this one is about 15.5 inches. For something that size, we're probably looking maybe into 18 to 20 inch footprint, possibly. So, yeah. And it's very rare where we do come across hands. I wasn't going to bring this one out, but this one was found in Kentucky.
Ooh. Oh, that's
of a much smaller one, but you can definitely tell it's really a lot more thicker. Now, 2016 in Kentucky, this was found by a colleague, Tom Shea.
That's so crazy. Now that's one hell of a knuckle sandwich.
This one was also found in Bluff Creek back in 1964 by Roger Patterson, the same one that recorded the female. Now this one is a little bit longer and wider, and we don't know for sure, but we jokingly play around saying that he was her mate because it was in the same area that they found this one. So that's something of interest. So Roger Patterson was definitely in the right area when we see something like this, and these ones that were coming out of there, of that famous one from 1967. But this one was just 1964, 1967. A lot of other ones, some of the other ones, I mean, they're just kind of duplicates that we would sell at the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. These are pretty significant ones. When you have one that's found by a deputy sheriff, one from 1967, this has been examined over and over. As there's been 3D scans of it and stuff like that. You can see the different And this was not the only one. There was a series of different impressions, a series of different tracks, which they all have been scanned and all of them have been pictured. And even the film itself, till this day, can't be debunked as a hoax. That's one of the greatest things that we have going on right now, is that one from October 20th of 1967 of that real life Bigfoot that was walking in Bluff Creek, California, which happened to be a female. So that is, and you know, since then, there's just been more and more and more sightings that have taken place, not just from there, but around North America and the world. We're not talking about a creature that's isolated to one geographical area. It's on multiple continents. We're on its heels.
Do you think, before we start the actual interview, is Bigfoot, like, are they dangerous?
They can be.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Because I remember our friend Mark had those attacking in California. You ever heard stories like that? Oh, I'm sure you have. You're like, yeah, which of the
I don't want to scare you guys before we go in the woods. Hide behind the big guy. You're the big guy now.
Yeah, oh shit. I don't like to hear that.
Abe Del Rio, founder and director of the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team and the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Remer Motel and Campground for letting us do the interview here. Thank you guys so much. They have been a big part of us, along with other establishments here in the great town of Remer, Minnesota, such as Bigfoot Gas and Gifts and the Woodsman Cafe. Thank you guys all so much. So here we just have some casts that we already went over with, but being the founder and director of the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, I started the MNBRT back in 2000. What really kind of got me into Bigfoot is the gorillas at Como Zoo in St. Paul, Minnesota. As a young child, mom and dad would take me there, and I'd just be so awestruck with them. And when they would want to leave to go a different part of the zoo, I guess I would throw a tantrum. And so I, would just want to be there and watching and looking at the gorillas, basically, because their similarities to us. It did something, mentally did something, which I was totally not prepared. So that kind of grew, and in growing up and hearing about the occasional Bigfoot sighting and report coming from the news, the radio, or newspapers, it piqued my interest, and I would go to the public libraries and school libraries and look at books about Bigfoot until, I wanted to see pictures, because at that time I was just a young kid, wasn't reading a whole lot. I remember seeing a picture of the Patterson-Gimlin film, the famous picture still of frame 352, where she's like this and just kind of looking back. And I was like, wow, that added fuel to the fire right then and there. In the late 90s, there were still things going on, to the point where it was like, okay, let's take a look into this. And so I did. And I got book smart, reading everything I could on the internet, and it was just like had a black hole effect on me. It sucked me right in. I was like, oh my gosh. So a couple years later, in the year 2000, I established the MNBRT, and then we went on our very first expedition. And unfortunately, it did not occur here in Minnesota. We went to Ohio at that time, because that's where more recent things were happening Bigfoot-wise, in 3 counties called the Sasquatch Triangle. It's where Muskingum, Guernsey, and Coshocton County meet, right in that area. And there's a creek that runs called Wills Creek. And so me and 2 of the ex-team members, we drive out there and we go to a general store. We stumble upon our general store that's out there. And we tell them who we are and what we're doing. And they're like, well, have you heard of Sasquatch Valley? And we're like, no. It was as if the heavens just opened up and this light came on. I was like, oh. So they get a map out and they're showing us how to get to Sasquatch Valley. We get down there. It was better weather than what's going on here today. It was in the month of May of 2000. Rain passing, some thunderstorms. The night before, torrential downpour. Just really, really heavy downpour the night before. So we get down there and we drive, and of course, we park towards facing the creek, and we get out of the car. There was 3 of us, me and another team member. We get out of the car, and we're parked up on a brim here, and we have to walk down. And as we're walking away from the car, the 3rd team member, he stayed at the car. He wasn't having it, just a bad day, nothing happening. So he just decided to stay there. We walk about 50 to 75 yards away from the car. And then that's where we hear snap, and we're like, whoa, you know, and we're like, whoa. And then we start hearing heavy bipedal footfalls. I'm reacting again. It's like every time I tell the story, I get a reaction. And we're hearing these heavy bipedal footfalls, and we're like, what the heck? We are freaked out. I was 22 years old at that time, and I got goosebumps all over. It's so fun. It's so fun just to relive it sometimes. 22 years old, and we're hearing these heavy bipedal footfalls, and they're getting louder and they're getting closer to us. We're like, what the heck? And I look down at the guy. He's looking up at me. His face is like as white as it goes because he's spooked. Never thought this was going to happen. So we start running back towards the car, and in doing so, I had a Polaroid camera around my neck, and it's just I'm running, and the Polaroid is just going back and forth, and I stop because I'm thinking to myself, this could be a picture of a lifetime, right? And so I stop and I flip open the Polaroid camera, and I'm turning around, and I'm waiting, and I'm focusing on these sounds, and I'm waiting for this thing to come out of the thickness. And as in doing so, the guy who's still up at the car, he's out of the car by that time, and I've known him since high school. I said, hey, what are you doing? I look back, and I can see his eyes are as white as saucers, right? The thing's right behind you, get going. I'm like, oh. I just had one of those moments where I felt like that big. It was like, okay. And I'm still hearing the foliage and the footprints. Things are getting stepped on, sticks are being snapped. This thing is getting closer. And I'm like, yeah. So I close the Polaroid camera, and I run back towards the car, and we get up to the car. I think we got to the car at the same time. I don't know if we jumped through the window or opened up the door. We get in the car. He had the car started by the time we got there. And we were in there, and I'm like, our blood is just pumping and pumping. Our hearts are going. And I said, what, where is it? What is it doing? Where'd it go? Give him 20 questions, you know? He was trying to gather his words. He was trying to gather his thoughts. I mean, we're talking about something that we thought we were ready. You know, big, brave, you know, first expedition. We got everything covered. We thought of everything, but didn't expect this. He said it was about 7.5 feet tall, reddish brown in color. And the thing was going running from tree to tree, making its way up on us. It was so quiet. There was no birds and no frogs in spring or anything like that after that. It was dead silence. And we got freaked out and we got the heck out of there. Looking back in hindsight, I mentioned the torrential downpour the night before. The thing is that when I was running back and walking to that spot, the mud on the bottom of my boot would accumulate with every step. And so in running back, it was accumulating as well. So I was really picking up my knees and holding my pants up because I didn't have a belt on and my pants were full of batteries at that time. But looking back in hindsight, if we would have went back to that spot later on that day, or maybe even the next morning, we would have found some really, really good footprints. Fast forwarding to many, many years ago, or now, and making friends in Ohio. A colleague, he puts on the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. He's a great guy. He's a brother in research. He's researched that exact same area, and he's talked with the people that live down there. And from what the locals tell him, and that he's got intel on, is that there's at least 2 of them. There's a big black male and a smaller female that's about 7 to 7.5 feet tall and reddish brown in color. Was it a female that was chasing me in May, springtime? I don't know, but we only can speculate. Was there another younger one there and she had to get us out of there? Or who knows, it could have gone in any kind of direction, to be honest with you. So that was the very, very first Bigfoot thing that happened to me. I have not seen one yet in the past 24 years of doing this, but I've had multiple occasions where I've heard them. I've heard the footprints. I've had them come up to us on 3 different locations. We've had a rock thrown. We're in the right area. We're right on their heels here in Minnesota. The Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team is the longest running Bigfoot organization in the state of Minnesota. And we're the most organized one as well. Just last July, we were here in the town of Remer doing, helping and being a part of the Remer Bigfoot Days, Bigfoot Barbecue Festival. And at that time, during that event, this town of 390 people turns into a few thousand. And there's vendors, there's people with their tents and everything like that on the main drag here.
And we offer to take people out in the field where we've had some Bigfoot activity happen around here. Last July, one of our ex-team members and somebody who chose to go on that outing with us, they got to see a black one in daylight. When Remer first declared itself the home of Bigfoot, I was just like, yeah, right, sure, whatever. Okay. And this was in about 2015 or 2016 when that occurred. Now, for the past 9 to 8 years of doing field research around Remer since about 2016, I've heard the wood knocks. We follow the wood knocks. The great people of Remer come to me now when they see me and say, hey, we've had this happen, we had this incident happen, this is what we heard, this is what we smelt. And that's exactly what we want. We want the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team to be that platform where people don't have to be scared of getting ridiculed. We're that safe team where you can come and tell anything you guys want to. For the past 24 years, we've heard quite the different things that may be associated with this creature. So we're not going to put our nose up to you. We take you guys very seriously. I mean, we know what people experience. We've heard it all. We just want you guys to come to us so we can do the proper investigations and look for any type of possible biological samples where we can turn it into the right people and hopefully get some kind of legislation protection for this creature. We are a no-kill team. The last thing we need is a body. However, science sees something different. Science wants a body. They want a cadaver. They want something on the gurney that they can dissect to see what it's made out of, how it functions. Unfortunately, they're not going to get that from us. The only time we'll pull the trigger is in self-defense. Otherwise, we will shoot it with our cameras. So that's what we are about. Remer has been a really, really great town. This town is a really fun town. The people here are really, really amazing. You'll see Bigfoot all around this town. I don't know if you guys noticed that when you came rolling through here.
So what is Bigfoot? What's your thought?
I think that's the question, the $1,000,000 question right there in itself. What is it? I mean, if we would have known by now, we would have known by now. But seeing that we don't know, and there's still groups and organizations out there going out and trying to get those answers, obviously we don't know. However, from the data that has been collected, hair samples, fingerprints, and stuff like that, it is a primate. Scientifically speaking, it is a primate. All primates have fingerprints, okay? Now, when you look at some of these casts here, you might be able to pick out some swirls and loops that are on the prints as well. A good instance is like right here when you have these two bumps on the knuckles right here. If you look at your knuckles on this line, you're going to see two bumps right here compared to these two bumps. So something like that would be really, really hard to fake or hoax. And especially when you have the dermal ridges and the creases from the flexing and stuff like that being showed right there as well. It is a primate. Where does it fit in? It has to be some kind of a homo. I mean, if we were looking at something that were more along what we know as great apes or monkeys, then we would most likely see a divergent big toe. Basically, their big toe, if you look at a gorilla or an orang or a chimp, it's more like our hands because it goes way off to the side. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing something here more along like Homo sapien, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis. It is some kind of a hominid homo, Homo genus. But where does it fall? Who knows? We do speculate and think that based on stories that they have kidnapped women to keep their genes ongoing and alive, because eventually if you have too much inbreeding, you're going to die out, or you're going to have deformities, you're going to have health problems. So yeah, they have to keep their population going. And the Native Americans were the ones that were really closer to these. Pretty much every Native American culture or tribe or nation have some kind of a legend or folklore with these creatures, with these beings. So, and there has been incidences where Native American women have been carried off and kidnapped and gone missing, and some have turned up with kids that don't look regular. So
that's crazy. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They think Bigfoot essentially is being carry on the
Well, here's the thing. The one I got was it a female that chased me down in mating season?
Yeah, right. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's wild.
You know, yeah, it is wild. And they're smart. They're very, very smart. And I say that it's just because of the obvious fact that you gotta be smart. With today's technology, the helicopters, the Blackhawks, they have all this technology, you know, where we can zoom in and see a field mouse in the field or something like that. Why are they not picking this up? Why are they not seeing this creature? You know, with thermal drones, all the drones that are out there over the fields, what's going on with that? We have the technology to hunt down a man that's wanted. On the other side of the coin, there's enough physical evidence. If Bigfoot was on trial for murder, it could be found guilty.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So why do you think that they're, like, they don't want to be found?
Is it not? Well, look at what we're doing. I mean, holy smokes, the encroachment that we're doing on their land. They see us as dangerous. We are dangerous. If you go through the TikTok reels or the Facebook reels, you'll see people going up and just shooting people. We're destroying land. We're polluting water. That's just the bottom line. It's sad but true. We need to turn our things around, honestly, in my honest opinion. We need to turn things around and clean up our act, so to speak, as Homo sapiens, as being the majority of population of this earth, this world. So yeah, you know, there's that, but however, they're very, very curious. They live on the fringes. They like to watch us because they're so curious of us, but they keep their distance. That's where we see a lot of people have sightings. It's just on the fringes, on the inside of the wood lines too. So hopefully we can get something stirred up a little bit later and see what happens. We're going to be in a good area. On the lake just north of where you guys are at, there was a couple four-wheeling around Mother's Day a few years back, and the husband got to see one while he was looking down that four-wheeling path. Not too far from there, July 11th of 2021, my team member seen one when we were doing another show. So that was kind of cool too. It was, again, during the Bigfoot barbecue or the Bigfoot days up here in Remer. So there's two incidences right there in July, but a couple years apart, about 3 years apart.
And why Remer? Like, why is this area?
You know, that's a great question. It has food, water, and shelter. But then again, a lot of places in Minnesota have food, water, and shelter. What is it about Remer? I don't know. I really honestly couldn't tell you, but it got me here. And I can tell you just about a block or two down a few years ago, there was a woman who used to work here that on her way to a campfire, a bonfire, one crossed the road right in front of her. So they make their way right in town from time to time. What was it, last fall? A guy who owns a business around here, he seen one. It came out of the wood line, and then it turned right around because it caught wind of him coming down the road. It's still happening. Things are still going on. There's, this year, a lot of more vocalizations have been taking place. Going down to east on 200. Yeah, I'm anxious to get out in the field.
So what are the signs of Bigfoot? Like the vocalizations and like what are the things you guys look for?
So, and you're right. I mean, if you don't know what to look for, you're not going to find them. I was just on a phone call, literally on my way up here today, with a guy who heard whoops while he was out hunting in Warren, Minnesota, and that's like northwest area. What I've heard and what he was describing to me when he was relaying this gave me goosebumps. And he was describing whoops as what we call as a whoop, where the vocalization goes whoop. Sometimes it'd be high pitched, sometimes whoop, low pitched, but it's whoop. And when you think about that woo, you have to purse your lips to make the woo sound. And woo, with that P, you have to have two lips go two, and the air coming out. So something with lips was out there. Another thing that we like to listen to, or listen for, I should say, is wood knocking. Wood knocking is a sound that is used, or is a technique that is used by great apes for long distance communication. It's been documented. And basically what it sounds to us is wood on wood sound. And it goes like, you know, you could hit a piece of tree, you could hit a rock against a tree, and you get that acoustics. However, if you think about that, it takes something with force, and you have to hold a stick. Now, to hold something with force and hit a tree, you need a thumb, okay? So to do that, it takes that kind of emotion or that kind of emotion to get that sound produced from a tree via using a piece of wood or a rock. You gotta bang it. Another vocalization that we've heard while researching is called the Ohio Howl. Now this vocalization is dubbed the Ohio Howl because the head of the BFRO, another colleague, Matt Moneymaker, recorded that in 1994 while he was out in the woods researching in Ohio. In about 2018, we were in between two Bigfoot or Sasquatch. One did the Ohio Howl on this side of us, and one did the Ohio Howl on the other side of us. And what that vocalization sounds like is like, and when you're in between two Bigfoot, one doing that and that one, you're just like, what the heck? Our minds were just like, bam, what the heck? We weren't ready for that. What made them sound off was one of my ex-team members. He did that, and then we heard some coyotes, and then out of the blue, and then over here, we're like, what? There's two. We're in between two of them, you guys. One of our team members got so freaked out, he ran back to the car. He just stood in the car and stayed in the car, not stood, but stayed in the car and sat down. Sorry. Whenever I relive something, goosebumps just happened to pop up. So we were in between two of them. In one of our spots, we had a rock thrown at us. We were way south, way south, about an hour and a half south, at this one location that I've been researching since 2009. This actually happened in fall of late summer or fall of 2009. We were at this campsite, and across the river it was really dark, beyond dusk where it was dark. I could barely make out a shadow, and I seen something. I thought I'd seen something going across, so we just started throwing rocks. A couple rocks over, nothing happened. Then another team member threw a rock a little bit harder, a little bit bigger, and one a little bit further. Lo and behold, by the tree we were wood knocking at to try and solicit a response, we had a rock come sailing back, and all over there it was just wild, basically. So we had that instance take place. I talked about other instances where in that same location we were doing wood knocks, and we had one come out of the woods towards us but did not break the woods. At that time, it stayed back in the thick part because one of my ex-team members, his wife turned on the spotlight and it just stopped. So when we're out in the woods, we don't like using the white light kind of a flashlight. We'll use like a red, green, or a blue flashlight, or black or something like that, because historically the white light would then make them shine their eyes and just want to get the heck out of there. Where we want to document it for as long as we possibly can before it retreats. A lot of the sightings is where you see it, it sees you, you guys make eye contact, and then it goes away. When we're out in the woods, we will do such vocalizations, we will do such techniques like wood knocks or the Ohio Howl or whoops to try to solicit a response. In 2019, around here, I was hired to take a private group out on a Bigfoot guided tour. We can't promise any kind of activity in any way, shape, or form, first off, because if we could, then might as well label us as a hoaxer. However, it was a police officer, his aunt, and a friend of theirs. And we were in this location, we were on this mile stretch, and we were going in and out of different cutouts, I guess you could say, that hunters go in and utilize. We were in this one cutout, and I did that vocalization, the Ohio Howl. Now, I'm sure you're probably familiar with the nature boy Ric Flair from wrestling and how he goes, woo! Hand on a stack of Bibles. We had Ric Flair in the woods. Whatever was responding to us was going, woo, woo, woo. And I had my camera right there, and I thought I was recording all of this. And I looked, it was green and said, stand by. I was like, no! So yeah, it was one of those moments, it's just one of those moments.
We're familiar with those moments.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So even when you're thinking you're ready and you got years of doing this under your belt, there's something that just likes to pop up. It's called the Bigfoot curse. And when that thing pops up, for instance, I had my camera rolling when we were in between the two Ohio Howls. However, I had a parabolic dish tied into my camera with a splitter with the headphones wearing it, so it would amplify the sound. Something was wrong with the splitter, so the audio that was getting picked up just did not turn out at all. God dang it. That would have been great to hear. Yeah, I've been in between, we've been, as a group, as a team, been in between two of them. I've been flanked, I've been followed, and it's spooky stuff, you know, especially when you're out there by yourself. And I'm out there a lot by myself. I try to be out in the field about every other weekend. And of course, having a group of guys, I'd like my guys to be out there in the field too, but you know, not everybody's schedule just lines up, you know. Sometimes it's right when the stars are all lined up and everything like that, where we actually as a team can go out for a weekend or Memorial Day weekend or something like that, and go out there and investigate and hit different spots and different zones and see what we can find out.
I guess just for a second, what have like people in this community experienced? Like, do you have a couple like really crazy, strange stories from people to share?
So I don't know if you can zoom in, but we are this little blue dot right here. And when I zoom out on the maps, now not all of these are Bigfoot related, but a lot of them are. There's some mushroom hunting spots because I also like to do some foraging. But let me pick Sand Lake. Okay, so I was telling you about Mother's Day sighting 2019. That was the one I was talking about. That was on the lake just north of you guys. So these guys have this stuff happen to them because they're always out forward-wheeling. Remer has forward-wheeling, he has great fishing, he has great hunting. A lot of people come out here for the great outdoors experience. Remer has all of that. Hunting, fishing, and so that could be some type of a correlation that's going on with Bigfoot. So however, there was 3 screams, a whistle, a knock heard in that area, and also in that area is where my team member seen that one come out of the woods and on the trail and shuffled back and forth a couple of times and then went right back into the woods. There are some moaning sounds that were being heard as well from in the back of somebody's house. Bigfoot footprint found north of here that was in the hill in the grass. Class A sighting fall of 2003. That's where the one came out of the wood line and seen the oncoming car and went back in. Also in that area there's been some drums, like not drums but like 55-gallon barrels or drums and stuff like that that were getting hit on at one time. There was a tree being shook and coming down. There was a creature, January 2020, the creature was going from the west to the east. She said it was a male. You can tell very much that it was a male from what she said. Yeah. So they're around. If they're in the area, you know, hopefully we can get one stirred up. There's been, vocalizations, just some weird things.
A lot.
Yeah, it's really, anything really weird. I mean, everything's weird. It's just about being in the right place at the right time when they're in that place. And hopefully we're in that place tonight.
I don't know if you probably know the story, but I can't remember. There's like Netflix did a series about it, and there was like Bigfoots that like allegedly murdered those drug workers. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Drug workers.
In California, they were like illegal cannabis farm people that were like torn to shreds.
Oh gosh.
And it's like an unsolved murder.
I think Bigfoot got a little too high.
The one.
Yeah.
One after James Belushi.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
But like, could you tell us a couple stories about Bigfoot that are like scary?
Yeah.
Freak you out?
So President Teddy Roosevelt, in his book, The Wilderness Hunter. Now, in his book, he has a story about these trappers called, I forget their names, Jessup or Jacob and Ballman or something like that. These were trappers. They were out in Oregon maybe? And they were out there trapping getting beaver pelts. And the first night that they were out there, they put up a lean-to and they heard some vocalizations. And something came running in front of their lean-to and they shot at it. And then the rest of the night, this thing was just sounding off, vocalizing across the lake, which spooked them. That morning, One of them packed up camp, the other one went out to go retrieve the traps and whatever they caught. So when that one who gathered the traps and the pelts came back to camp, he found his partner dead with 4 puncture marks in his neck and these Bigfoot footprints around the campsite. There's the story of Albert Osterman, who was off the Toba Inlet in British Columbia, 1924. He was mining. He was just going in deeper and deeper. One night, in his sleeping bag, he was asleep. He got picked up. Him and his whole sleeping bag got picked up, carried for who knows how long, and then him inside of his sleeping bag got sat down. And so, of course, when he got out of the sleeping bag, he's looking around. Couldn't really see anything because it was still dark. However, that morning, as the sun started coming up, you could start seeing silhouettes of these beings. These beings were hair covered. There were different sizes. It was a family unit. There was a father, there was a mother, and 2 younger ones. Now, he'd been there for a couple of days, and the only way he was able to escape is that he gave the father, or the male, some snus. And he opened up the snus and put the whole tin of snus in his mouth, and he started going like this. So he ran off in search of probably getting some water or something like that. While he did that, Albert seen that as his opportunity to go. So he was abducted. He did sign an affidavit saying that all that did take place and it was true. As far as scary goes, pretty much if you talk to anybody that had a Bigfoot encounter, every one of them was scary. You know, we're talking about a creature that is folklore or myth or legend, but when that steps off of those pages and onto the pages of reality, you have a paradigm shift. It turns your world upside down. People will hold on to their sighting for years and years and years, just in fear of being ridiculed and called crazy, or you're drunk, or you're high, and that's where, again, the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team wants you to feel safe and coming forward with us, relay it to us. Like I said, we've heard a lot of that stuff, so definitely we're here for those people. I just get goosebumps when I'm telling the stories because I get so excited, and it doesn't shut me down. This is a field of research where you got to have a thick skin, and I say that because you will be called names, you will be looked at crazy, especially it's way more accessible nowadays than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and a lot of that had to do from the programs that have been out there. Monster Quest, Finding Bigfoot, Expedition Bigfoot. I know those are great friends of mine. I mean, they come hang out with those guys when they're here. We have them come speak at the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. Known those guys for years. And it's because of that and the stories that a lot of people have come forward, but we still know there's a lot more people in the woodwork still sitting on the stories, and some of them take it to the deathbed too.
Yeah, I was reading in the book of stories that's over there, like stories of people that like shot Bigfoot and it didn't go down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be a pretty big, kind of strong creature to get shot and like not even react.
Right.
You know?
You know, and the thing is, we're talking about a primate or a homo of some kind. All primates are very, very social creatures. When you see monkeys, they're traveling in groups. When you see gorillas, they travel in a family unit. Chimpanzees, big old pack and stuff like that. Really, the orangutans are pretty much the ones that really don't travel like that. Now, the ones that I've heard getting shot, there's one instance called the Siege of Honabi in Oklahoma, where this thing was raiding ice chest or a freezer or a refrigerator that was out on the porch. And the guy came out and he shot it. It ran right in front of a truck coming down the road. And it got shot. And there were 2 other ones that came and helped that one that got shot out of there, and they ran right in front of a truck that was coming down the road. And it was said that there was one on each side of the creature helping it across and getting out of there. There's this one place that was in Arkansas, I believe it was, that was called Monster Central at one time because of the Bigfoot activity that was taking place there. And they had people in trees and stuff like that, and they seen this movement, and they shot one from the back with a rifle, and it made a sound and everything like that. And when they did that, the gentleman said that it was like the woods just became alive, and there was just energy and stuff like that. And there was vocalizations going off over here and over here and over there. And what happens is that these creatures came in and they got that wound and went out of there. So they very much look after themselves, and they're not alone. However, they can be alone. They can be some rogue ones, you know, where I wouldn't want to run into a rogue one by myself in the woods, because who knows what happens. You probably could disappear. And yeah, so you have your good ones, you got your bad ones.
But the bad ones, have you ever heard any stories like recently of people being like attacked or going missing from Bigfoots?
So as far as stories of people being attacked and missing from Bigfoot, recently, no, we can't really attribute that to them. I haven't heard anything in modern times. Do people go missing in the woods? Yes, but can we say for sure that it was done by a Bigfoot? No, we can't. So yeah, there's my answer to that one.
That's interesting. Yeah, you really don't know. So my other question is, like, I was in where were we? West Virginia. And I was talking to a gas station owner, and the lady was telling me this story. It's like they have a Bigfoot museum there. She was talking about how these local people had like a family of Bigfoot that they were like friends with that would come and like they feed them and stuff. Like, do you hear stories like that of like cohabitation almost?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I was cohabitation, or habituation is what we call them. And in 2009, I was contacted by a woman down in Iowa who had that going on her property. And as a matter of fact, just earlier this week, I was talking with that same woman. She no longer lives on that property. Her husband passed away about 10 years ago. And since then, that property has been sold. However, when I was down there, our first year that summer, we go down there, and my brother is on her back porch. Now, she had some black walnut trees, and he was hearing bipedal footprints stepping on these black walnuts and crunching them. Also, we heard wood knocking as well. I've heard it down there. So the sound of a gorilla beating its chest down there. One night we were on her back porch, and she got a shiver on her side. And to her, she's like, okay, so when she gets a shiver on the right side, that means they're over there. Or if she shiver on the left side, they're over there. She was like going like this. I was like, what? She was, I think they're over there. I'm getting a shiver. So I go like this. I'm facing the woods. That says, if you're there and if you can hear me and understand me, will you please let us know that you're there? Can you give us a sign? Can you please give us 2 wood knocks? Lo and behold, 2 wood knocks come out of the woods, and we're just like, oh my gosh. So the thing is, where those wood knocks came from, she called that the playground, because she used to watch the younger Bigfoots play back there. And so, out of respect, we didn't go rushing in the woods or anything like that, because we didn't want to scare them off. We wanted to see what else would transpire. So we just stayed there and stayed our ground, and didn't want to disrespect her or the property or the Sasquatch that were there. So with that being said, can they understand us? It almost seemed like when I asked for them to give me 2 wood knocks, and 2 wood knocks came out of the woods, yeah, it almost seems like they could understand us. Now we're getting into Bigfoot language, which is a whole other awesome thing to talk about. And I say that because, and I brought up Ron Moorhead, because the Sierra Sound CDs. Back in the 70s, in the high Sierras, Alan Berry, along with Ron, produced what's called the Bigfoot Sounds, where these Bigfoot vocalizations have been recorded from that area. And years later down the road, a retired Navy crypto linguist, his son was doing a report on those, playing these sounds, and he says, son, that's language, what do you got going on? So now we have what's called the Sasquatch phonetic alphabet that's related to all of this stuff. Yeah, right?
Really? So it's like a whole identified Bigfoot
language. And I say that because just this past Minnesota Bigfoot conference, that retired Navy crypto linguist I've known since 2012, 2013, Scott Nelson is his name. He was a speaker at this last year's conference and at our very first Minnesota Bigfoot conference in 2020. So, holy smokes, the sounds that this guy can produce, it sucks. You're just like, don't stop. I want to hear more, because it's intriguing. It's stuff that happens, and when you listen to the Sierra Sound CDs, And what his thoughts are, what he knows, I shouldn't say thoughts, because this is what he got paid by our government to do, is decipher language. And this is what he's trying to do with this Bigfoot recordings. So, yeah.
So do you think Bigfoots understand us? Do you think there's like legit communication?
Well, with the one in Iowa, that one understood me, I believe. However, there's more than one kind. There's different clans. Now, what each different kind or clan can understand would be hard to say. Would you be able to understand somebody who's speaking Spanish to you?
Mm-mm.
Exactly. Unless you were around in Mexico for a while, right? So is it that they can understand us? I think the universal language itself would be body language. When they see you as not being harmful or non-threatening, is a better chance where you might have a little bit more closer encounter, where if they see you as being threatening, they're going to stay away. And also tone of voice. If you're more calm and talk lower and not so loud, that could be indication that you're not that aggressive to them. So I think we have to take all these things into play, which be a significant role in hopefully trying to bridge the gap of getting better documentation and more data. How many Bigfoot are in the world? That's another $1 million question right there. I couldn't even fathom to tell you, just for the simple fact, because there's multiple sightings in China, multiple in Russia. Here in the United States, you can see all these dots if you look at it. You know, here in Minnesota, I could say there may be 1,000 or less.
Shit, that's a lot.
No, that's really a low number. and I say this because of the different sightings in different regions from Iowa, from South Dakota all the way to Illinois, that stretch, there's dotted stuff like that as well. In central Minnesota, there's dotted stuff as well. Northern Minnesota seems to be the majority of the hot spots that's taken place as far as sightings go. Now, I would feel really comfortable saying that there is for sure at least 500 in Minnesota. And also, I don't make that number just to throw that out there. From what I heard around here, Remer, everything from like around the Superior National Forest to Bemidji, there could be 1,000, give or take, honestly. But I think it would probably be on the lower end of that. You know, just don't quote me on that. But yeah.
Because I mean, you would think that it would definitely be on like an endangered species.
Absolutely.
List.
Well, yeah. Yep, there is, absolutely. So a smell that's often associated with the Bigfoot Sasquatch, we have the Florida skunk ape. That's a great example, which is supposed to have long, strong, skunky smell. There is also a smell that's associated like sulfur, skunk, death, rotting meat, bad blood, stuff like that. Very swampy smell, wet deer or wet dog kind of an odor. So those are the ones that really kind of pop out as far as a smell associated with Bigfoot. But no, the most one would be the Florida skunk ape.
Okay,
Yeah.
two last things for me.
Yeah.
On senses again, like kind of your sixth sense, or a thing called proprioception, where your body feels. Like you're doing this all the time.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
I mean, do you have a different feel when you've had those encounters? You think are with these? You know what I mean? Is it different than other things in life that you experience?
So,
other than fear and anxiety.
Right. Anxiety on the wood suck. Have an anxiety attack. Okay, so one of the things that a lot of people think is occurring with them is that if it's attributed to the Sasquatch, which we really don't know yet, there's just not enough data. People call this infrasound. Infrasound is a sound that is below the human range, which affects the body, which can put you into a panic attack. Almost feels like a heart attack, where your heart is just racing, you're sweating, your fingertips may be numb, your arms feel really heavy, your body just feels really heavy, and you're just standing there. Very, very close symptoms, same as a panic attack. Now, people have said, "Oh, I got blasted by infrasound." We do know infrasound is a real thing based off of the cats in Africa. Elephants do it, whales do it for long distance communication and stuff like that. But for a primate to do infrasound, there's no documentation on any species of primate, to the best of my knowledge as of right now, that it can produce infrasound. And I leave the door open for being wrong about that. Now, as far as when we're in the woods, and when we think we're going to have a great time or get activity, it's just like a different energy. You can almost pick up on something. Like, oh, hey, they might be here, you know. Yeah, and there's also times when we're walking around and we feel like we're being watched. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I felt like I was being watched, then I heard this. I said, well, I mean, you know, it could have been. You just never know.
Yeah, but for you, for like your experience, you may feel different.
Yeah.
When attributed to that,
yeah,
they're there,
yeah,
than you do to other things.
Yeah, and you're right. It's just something that the body kind of picks up on it, and you get accustomed to over time. To like, if they are here, I'll go in the woods, and if I do this, that, and the other thing for maybe an hour, stay out there. If I know I'm not feeling it, like they might not be around, or they just don't want to play right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last one is more on science-based stuff. You were saying, is there any talk about like camouflaging or like an octopus will change?
Oh my gosh!
Amazingly so, or
yeah.
or something like that.
One of my team members in West Virginia, they were at the Salt Fork State Park, Ohio, when they seen one, and it was on this ridge. And as they were driving in the car and they were looking at this ridge, they seen this one and it hugged a tree to try to blend into a tree. Seriously, it's a freaking tree hugger, right? But with that being said, we're talking about something that has a custom-made billy suit all over its body. It can blend in with its environment very much like an octopus or a chameleon. And plus, they can be as quiet as a church mouse or as loud as an elephant. God dang, I know that for a fact. So as far as being stealthy or having like a camouflage, heck, you know, they utilize what they got, and they hide and they hug trees and they hide in the bushes, and they also belly crawl really low, like army crawl and stuff like that. So
ugh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Visual.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I see one running at me and then crawling at me.
Oh, and yeah, and you need to talk about how fast they run too.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, there's a report on the BFRO website where in northern Minnesota there was this van. They seen one in the ditch, and in the ditch, this thing was going 30 miles per hour. Now, which ain't a whole lot. I mean, for a human, yeah, wow, holy smokes. But bears can get up 35 miles per hour. We're talking about an animal that has been clocked at about 40 miles per hour before. And that's just with it keeping up with a car for a short distance. How long that short distance is, I don't know. But they also, from what I gather, and in reading different books, is that they also do hunting, which at 40 miles per hour to get a deer into one area to another area in different relays to wear that deer down and get it tired, to where the deer will no longer run, they'll sneak up on it, strike a blow to the spinal cord, break its legs, flip it over, rip the deer down, take out its innards, go for the liver, go for the heart, because that's have the highest vitamin A content. And if you look at it, vitamin A helps with being able to see better in the dark.
So I guess one more thing.
Sure.
Then. Do people find like decimated like animal corpses around Bigfoot sighting areas? Like what would it be?
So if we were to find like a pile of neatly piled area of Bigfoot, or not, excuse me, deer bones, or you know, just nice, neatly instead of strewn all about, which have been found, that would, you know, be a good indication that we could possibly be in their dining room. Right?
That's interesting.
Right, yeah. And so there has been, I've found Bigfoot kills, what we think was killed by a Bigfoot, just by the way the backbone was broken and the hind legs were broken, and the fur. So we don't know if they're using obsidian or some kind of a sharp rock, or if they're using their nails to get the deer innards and stuff like that. But we have been for the past long time seeing that the liver and the heart are pretty much the main items that are being removed. There's also been skulls found, ripped off, you know, dang. Yeah, there's definitely, we call them Bigfoot kills, deer kills, and stuff like that. Primarily deer. However, there's also stories of dogs being taken, rabbits being taken, dogs being taken right off the leash and stuff too, off the chain, I should say. But if they had they have very much same diet as us or bear. I mean, we eat meat and plants.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So check us out at the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team Facebook page. We have that page. We have the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference page. We have the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team Facebook page. And you can also find us on YouTube as well.
I learned so many things from that interview with Abe. I mean, I had some kind of baseline knowledge about Bigfoot, but I had no idea that he had been accused of murdering people, abducting people, and I had definitely never read about or heard of the supposed Bigfoot-human hybrid babies. That's pretty crazy stuff. But there are always just so many questions that run through my head. Why is this area such a hotspot for these encounters? Because you read through those books like I did at the gas station and you talk to people that are local, and you realize that this wasn't some rumor made up to increase tourism. These sightings are really happening, and these Bigfoot creatures really seem to live around here. But we knew we had to keep talking to locals.
Okay, my name is Mark Ruyak. I'm a small business owner in Remer, Minnesota. I actually grew up here, graduated from high school in 1986 from Northland High here in town. And I came back. I was in the Army. I'm a Gulf War veteran. Came back in 2007, and my Bigfoot story kind of begins in 2009 when there was a trail camera picture that ended up being a fake one, but it was in an area that I grew up hunting and trapping and running around in, out a place called Shingle Mill by Shingle Mill Lake. And the picture kind of caught my attention, and because I knew the area. And it made national news, actually. It was on, I don't remember if it was on the Today Show, but anyway, one of the morning shows had it on. And at the time I didn't think a whole lot about it, other than I remember mentioning something to my sister who lives out in California that it would be neat to see what else is going on with regard to Bigfoot in the area. And kind of died out there, and then a couple years later, it's probably around the 2013, 14, 15 time frame, I started hearing some more stuff about Bigfoot, and I ended up doing some research and then going up and started talking to some of the research organizations and finding out more about all the events that had happened in the area and the sightings and the things that had gone on in years past. And I knew a lot of loggers and had talked to them and just found out a ton of information about our area and how there was so much Bigfoot activity in our area. And so I came up with the idea, I guess in my head, that we're like the home of Bigfoot, because I didn't know of any other areas across the U.S. where there was so much activity in a relatively small area. And so I trademarked Remer as the home of Bigfoot, and then in 2015 we kind of kicked Remer off as the home of Bigfoot and ended up getting the TV show Finding Bigfoot to come do an episode here, and we started having a yearly festival, and the yearly festival started to grow rapidly, and we were amazed at how popular. We didn't realize how many people loved Bigfoot and wanted to look for him, and people were coming here and seeing things. And early on in that whole scenario, at that time frame, I met Abe Del Rio from Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, and he came out and started doing tours in the area and walks with people, and he was seeing and hearing stuff, and he was kind of instrumental in taking the guys from Finding Bigfoot out to certain areas where things had been seen and heard. It was like a wildfire that spread. I mean, people were seeing things and telling stories, and really that's kind of why we started the whole festival and making Remer the home of Bigfoot. Is early on when I was talking to people wouldn't tell their stories, and the single thing that we wanted to do is take the stigma away from Bigfoot. In other words, there were so many people that had stories and encounters, and they didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want people to think they're an idiot or a freak or that they were lying or what else. And so we wanted more than anything else to take that stigma away, and that Remer would be known as the place you could come, talk about Bigfoot, talk about whatever you saw or heard or experienced, and no one's going to laugh at you. In fact, people will want to know more. They'll want you to tell more about the experience, and there are people close by like Abe that will help you discover what was it and where was it, and he knows so much about Bigfoot and all the things that Bigfoot does that he might be able to tell you what things are in your woods by your house. And so that's how it all started, was to reduce that stigma. And since then we've just had such neat experiences. I mean, every summer during our festival we have storytelling, and it's just amazing some of the stories that come out and experiences that people have had. It's really been fun. I'll tell you two things. One is we had a couple all the way from Great Britain come and stay in this motel and go out with Abe on a night walk all the way from Great Britain. And then another time, there's right out on Big Sand Lake, there was a resort. It's no longer a resort now, but I went and saw the owner one day, and he said, "Man, I got a funny story for you." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, I have trail cameras out around the resort because I have a problem with a few bears." And he said, on Friday I had two ladies check into a cabin, two middle-aged ladies. And he said, Saturday morning I went around and checked the trail cameras, and I had a trail camera picture from 1 in the morning, and it was of the two ladies crouched down walking down a trail in the dark. And he said, so I went over to their cabin, knocked on the door, and I had woke them up, and I said, "Is everything okay?" And they said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Well, I just checked my trail cameras and I had a picture of you at 1 in the morning." And they were so embarrassed. They said, "We were looking for Bigfoot." And so they were fine, but they were out looking for Bigfoot at 1 in the morning out around the resort. So there's just an endless number of stories from the area, and it's really been neat and fun and rewarding for the town and to invite all these people to our area in the hopes of getting more information and possibly seeing the big guy out there somewhere, or hearing him, or who knows what. So it's been a fun experience so far, and it's growing.
So growing up in this area, were these sightings and experiences like something people talked about back when you were younger?
So when I was younger, I wasn't really in with we hunted and fished, but as a kid, you're kind of oblivious to some of the things going on. And when I graduated high school, then I left right away. So I did not hear it at that time. But when I came back, I talked to some of the guys that were loggers when I was a kid, and that's where some of the information came from, that they all, to a T, almost all of them admitted seeing something out in the woods, and they didn't think anything of it because it was like regular and routine to them.
Like, what were they seeing?
Just shapes and large figures, and they talked about the first time they would see it was surprising, and then after that it was like, oh yeah, he's out here. I'm in this area and I've seen him out here before. And they wouldn't necessarily talk about tracks or anything, but just large shapes moving through the brush.
That's so interesting, and it's just so normal to them.
It's just like, yeah. And then they talk, about their predecessors talked about it too. So, it's been going on for years, and people just didn't. And I think a big part of it was that it was two things. One, it was so routine, and two, the stigma. You come in town and you say, gee, I saw this huge, hairy, ape-like creature walking through the cedar swamp. Well, yeah, what, John's been drinking too much, or John's a nuthead, or whatever they'll say about the person, but I think that's part of it too.
So have you ever experienced or seen anything?
I have not. No, and people ask me that all the time, and they say, do you believe? And I always say, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the woods, and I haven't seen anything yet. I've had a lot of weird experiences, but I can't say any of them have been what I would consider related to Bigfoot. But at the same time, I don't believe that he doesn't exist. So it's a double negative. I believe he can exist. A guy once said to me, and I believe this kind of is true about Bigfoot too. I hunt bears, and I know there's bears around, and everyone knows there's bears out in the woods. But a guy once said to me, how many times have you run across a bear skeleton out in the woods? And I never ever have. And I don't know anyone who has. Yet bears die, but you never ever see a bear skeleton. So why is it such a odd thing that a Bigfoot could die and we not see a skeleton or see some evidence of it? So
that's so true. It's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
So after hearing all these stories from people for like the last decade or so, are there any stories that people have shared with you that kind of stuck out that were interesting?
You know, I love Abe's story about the first time he was really close to one, because it almost every time I hear him tell it, it makes the hair go up on the back of my neck, because I feel like I'm there with him, and I'm like, I spend a lot of time in the woods and in the dark in the woods, and I almost am there with him and in that thick woods that's dark, and it makes me feel like, man, something happened there. Even though I wasn't there, I can feel the energy, and I know that something happened to him. I had another very good friend that I trust to tell me the truth, that him and his son had an experience on a road south of here where they saw a bunch of stuff going on, saw something go through the woods, and then saw a log get thrown up into the treetops. And I trust him, so I went down and looked at it, and I think Abe ended up going down and looking at it too. And there's this 8 to 10 inch chunk of log up in the treetops, and there's nothing around it. I mean, it's 30 to 40 feet up in the treetops, and there's no broken off trees. We didn't have windstorms that would have done anything. I mean, for anyone to say something else happened there and that log got up in the treetops, I would never believe them. So, I mean, that was another fantastic one that was just very, very interesting. That's probably my favorite one.
I mean, that's crazy to think
It is.
about.
And I know Abe's seen it. If I took you down there and saw it, there's no explanation other than something large threw that log up in the treetop.
I can't imagine.
It was a log that big and 10 feet long. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's way up in the tiny treetops.
So you mentioned you didn't have really specifically any Bigfoot experiences in the woods, but have you ever had anything just bizarre happen to you while you've been in the deep woods?
So I'm pretty sure I've heard tree knocks, because like I said, I hunt a lot, and I'm out in the dark, out in the woods, and I know I've heard tree knocks before. Did I knock back and get them to respond to me? No, but I've heard tree knocks before. Other experiences that I can't explain? No, I've never had any.
Because I feel like there's just such a weird energy when you're in the deep woods. It's got its own.
Yeah, so there's been, you reminded me of a thing, and I've had it happen other times unexplained. I had it happen one time explained. So one time, and the time it was explained was not here. When I lived in South Carolina for a while, and I went bow hunting on the back of an apple orchard, and I had to walk about 1.5 miles around this mountainside and down the backside of the mountain to the backside of the apple orchard. And I hunted till dark, and then I was walking back out in the pitch dark, and I got that weirdest hair on the back of your neck stand up feeling, and I stopped and I couldn't hear anything, and I looked around, and of course it's pitch dark, but I have pretty good vision in the dark, so I can still see. And nothing, and I kept walking, and all of a sudden, you know, another 20 minutes passed, and I felt that weird feeling again, and then it kept happening more and more, and I was like, there's something watching me or following me. And I ended up getting back to my truck, and by that time I was a little bit freaked out, so I threw my bow in the back of the truck, hopped in, fired the truck up, and backed up to turn around. And when I got backed up, a wolf ran in front of my headlights. Mm-hmm. And I thought, he followed me all the way out of the woods, and that's what I was sensing. And so fast forward to coming back home here, there have been times out in the woods, 2 other times distinctly, where I've been out in the dark. One was turkey hunting, one was deer hunting, and I all of a sudden out of nowhere just felt that weird hair in the back of your neck stand up, that something's following me or watching me or knows I'm here, and can't explain it, don't know what it was, can't see in the dark that good. So
that's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Why should people come here to look for Bigfoot, and like what's your wrap-up thoughts with everything?
So I think you know, really the biggest thing is in Remer, you can come talk about Bigfoot and no one ever will laugh at you. No one will think you're an idiot. Most people will say, tell me more. Or if you come here and say, I want to go look for Bigfoot, they'll give you a road to go to look, because we all know areas where they hang out and where sightings have happened. And so I think that probably is the biggest thing. Is, to me, why would people come to Remer, Minnesota? Because it's the home of Bigfoot. And people around here love Bigfoot. They talk Bigfoot. Bigfoot researchers like Abe know this area and know where to take you and where to look. And they'll take you in areas where there's a better than 50% chance you're going to hear, see, smell something, or have that experience where the hair goes up on the back of your neck. And so you're welcomed here. And there's no place on earth where Bigfoot is so loved and where you'll be so welcomed as a Bigfoot searcher or hunter or curiosity person, that you'll be so welcomed as here. And most of the people are just curious about Bigfoot, and then they come here, they take a walk in the woods with Abe, and they leave here a believer. Yeah, so the big festival, which is a very fun event, and it's a fun day and a half basically, and probably the biggest part of that is Bigfoot storytelling. We do it twice, once on Friday and once on Saturday, and it's just a huge event, and it's always exciting, and there's always something new. And we've had grown men cry, shake, can't talk because they're retelling the story from when they were a little kid that scared the crap out of them. And it's just a wonderful event, and it's always the weekend following the 4th of July. So this weekend, or this year, because I think the 4th of July is on a Friday, it's the following weekend, so it's the 11th and 12th of July this year, this coming year in 2025, but it's always the weekend following the 4th of July. And we call it Bigfoot Days, and it's all about Bigfoot, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I would love to hear those stories, man.
Oh, it's just...
At this point, I knew that our investigation that evening was going to get crazy, but we still had no idea what was coming. But I wasn't done talking to people yet. There was one more individual that I wanted to connect with to pick his brain about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and that man was Les Stroud. Now, if you don't know who Les is, he was the host of the program Survivor Man, a very popular television program where he would head out into the woods by himself and survive for a week at a time. And according to Les, throughout his filming of this show, he had many personal Bigfoot encounters. And what he was about to tell me was incredibly shocking and compelling. Why don't you just kind of explain your clearest encounter with Bigfoot?
My clearest encounter with Bigfoot. That's a great way to ask it, clearest, because so often you're not sure what just happened. And that's an overriding theme that thousands upon thousands of people will say, I don't know what happened. I'm just not sure what happened. If I really think about it, sort of the clearest, like I cannot mistake, I've never seen one. So I've got no claims that way. But the things I've experienced, you know, it ends up coming down to, you know for sure that that was not a bear. You know for sure that that's not a moose. Now, how do you know those things? Well, one, you're not high, you're not inebriated. Two, you're natural history knowledgeable. So you know what a moose does, and you know what bears do, and wolves, and so on. And so for your own self, that's kind of the two main parts of it. You're not being delusional, you're not exhaustion, you're not at the point of exhaustion somewhere because you haven't slept. So all those things taken into account, you know, you're straight up. Now you're still dealing with stuff that's, okay, well, I can't explain that. You know, I really can't tell you that was a moose. In Alaska, the one that people know a lot of, that I've told before, is the one in Alaska. And that was where, you know, and you can see it in the Survivor Man footage. You can see me looking off into the distance, and I'm looking at the bush, and I keep hearing something, a little crackle here, a little crackle there. But to me, it's stuff that doesn't sound right. When I say doesn't sound right, you know, what I mean is something's there, is all I mean. Now, at this point, it could still be a bear or a moose because I'm in Alaska. But then I get this deep grunting, sounds like a silverback gorilla or something, you know, that's 20 feet up in the tree too, like it's up a distance, and sort of a shaking of the tree. And I hear, you know, this deep grunting like a gorilla. Now, do moose grunt? Yep, they do. Do bears grunt? Yep, they do. But this happened 5 times in a row with a spacing in between them of maybe, you know, 30 seconds or something. No mistaking at this point. I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not. Right? That's the part the skeptics hate to hear because, well, you didn't see it. I know I didn't see it, but I also know what I didn't see. You know, and what I didn't see and didn't hear was a moose or a bear. At the time I was filming, but I didn't have the cameras close to me and they weren't turned on. So I was like, okay, I got to get the camera turned on. So I finally made I was frozen solid while this happened, and I finally made a move, and I went over, and as soon as I made that move, it was like it was kind of landed on the ground and then went crashing through the forest like a freight train. Now I'm in Alaska, you know, in the middle of a remote area section of Alaska. There's certainly no gorillas up there. That's number one. And then number two, all the way to the very end of, you know, I've been filming Survivor Man Bigfoot for a solid year. I've done, you know, these 9 documentaries. I'm doing the 10th one. I'm in Portland, and Devin Masson and I are out in the woods at night, and we're in an area that's supposedly a hotspot. There was some strange stuff we were kind of experiencing. I can or cannot get into. What occurred that one night was I'm laying on the ground, and now this time I am dozy. I am sleepy. And in fact, I'm trying to sleep, but I'm sleeping under the stars by a fire with Devin in this spot, right? And something, I literally was dozing off, and I literally clearly felt a warm fur sort of hand take my ankle and flip me over. So egregiously so that I jumped up standing position out of my sleep, you know, with a big, what the hell was that kind of moment, right? And you know, Devin, you know, I called Devin. That freaked me out. And that was also the very same night that Devin said, Les, come here. And I went over and I looked, and for the life of me sitting here right now, for 15 minutes, the two of us watched an orb hover about 3-4 feet off the ground, size of maybe at first a golf ball to a softball, and then glowed to the size of a dinner plate, and then it got smaller again until our eyes couldn't make it out anymore. And I'm looking for car lights reflecting off things. I'm wondering, like, oh, is it moonlight? You know, I'm doing all, and we had 15 minutes of seeing this thing hover. Those are the clearest. You know, there's lots of other experiences for me that were also unanswerable, but a little more murky. And then there are more circumstances that, you know, oh, well, it could have been a cougar, it could have been a this or a that. So there's been quite a few. I mean, I spend an awful lot of time in the woods. So there you go.
Damn, so you actually got grabbed by one of them.
That's what it felt like. I've been exhausted lots of times in my life, but I've never been jostled awake and jumped up out of my sleep to a standing position because I was exhausted. You know, even if I was having freaky dreams, you know, ate the wrong food, never like that. And I still can remember the feeling. Just telling you the story, I can remember the feeling on my ankle. And it was like a large hand took my ankle and like kind of came running by and flipped me over, and then it kept going and I jumped up, and you know, the fire's dead is not dead and cold, but it's died down to nothing but, you know, coals, and I jumped up. Yeah, so freaked the crap out of me. Well, I mean, and there's backdrop, there's to this, you know, this whole connection of going to this place, to this quote unquote hotspot was arranged through a woman that I'd met who have apparently, according to her, has a, you know, sort of an ongoing communication with them, has seen them, and she arranged for me to sort of be out there in that area. You know, it was off into the woods, but, you know, leaving from her backyard kind of thing, off into the woods, and, you know, letting me know sort of like, I mean, again, you can take all of this with a grain of salt or laugh at it. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just telling you how the story played out. And the story played out that, you know, they know you're here. And funny thing was, the next morning, before I told her anything, she told me that they'd communicated with her that they'd gone to see me while I was out in the woods. Like she said, they came and mostly this one particular one that she claims to have a, you know, communication with, went, and I believe she said that, yeah, I think she actually said he touched you while you were sleeping. I think that's what she said, if memory serves. You know, that's kind of, you know, I mean, she could have guessed and just, you know, made some shit up and done what hypnotists do, that kind of shit. I have no idea. Pretty freaky that she was able to say that before I told her the story.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting that you bring something like that up, because when I was in West Virginia, I did a Mothman video and I stopped by this museum that was dedicated to the Flatwoods monster, and they have a Bigfoot museum in the same town. And they were telling me a story about a local family who is like friends with the Bigfoots or whatever. Is it Big Feet or Bigfoots? I don't know what the proper terminology is, but they said that these people like fed them and they came up and they were communicating with them. So it's interesting. That's a very interesting avenue, I think, that has yet to be explored, is these people that actually claim to directly communicate with whatever these things really are.
Well, and the challenge there is reading between the lines. The challenge is filtering out the hyperbole, because, okay, let's do broken telephone for a second. Like, I just told you this story, right? And I told it to you exactly how it felt to me. And you said back to me, it's like, you said, wow, so one of these things grabbed you. Now, maybe you tell that story to somebody else. Eventually, the story's out there is like, yeah, this guy was like picked up by a big, like, you know what I mean? Like, the broken telephone is very dangerous when we tell these stories. But also, people who want to seem a little more dramatic in the story they're going to tell will embellish it themselves. So it starts off as an embellished story. And I try really, really hard to minimize anything that's happened to me out there. You know, I could tell you about screaming that I heard in a forest that sounded just like a satanic ritual, okay? I could tell you all about that. Now, the reality, and it sent me out of the forest, the only thing in my whole life that sent me out of the forest. Reality is, it could have easily been cougar, a couple of mountain lions, you know, preparing to fight, but not yet fighting, you know, because they'll do that long screeching, you know. It could have been porcupines, make an ungodly sound when they fight, even when they mate. So these natural things occur. But if I just tell you the story that I heard this satanic-like screaming in the forest one night, and I never mention that it could be a cougar or a mountain lion, or it could be porcupines, then your mind already has conjured up some freakish images. And I said, yeah, I left the bush. I didn't want anything to do with it, you know, that's true. That's exactly what I did. I left. And this is the problem with the stories that you probably hear and that I hear, and certainly within the realm of Sasquatch and all of that, is this embellishment thing. Someone asked me, how are you going to handle the differences of opinions in the Sasquatch researcher community sort of thing? And my answer, and already it's offended somebody, but anyway, my answer was, I'm just not going to talk to the crazies. Like, we have to admit that. We have to go, yeah, no, this guy's whacked. I'm not talking.
Right.
I'm telling you, you know, and I'm not saying people don't have valid stories to tell. It's just, you know, drop the hyperbole, drop the melodrama, you know, don't shed a tear. Just tell me straight and let me ascertain, just as like when anybody's telling you anything, you ascertain, is this person being honest or not? You know, healthy skepticism, not cynicism. Cynicism, we got no time for the cynicism in this. Well, then go away, do something else, be cynical about something else. That's not why we're here. That's not what we're talking about, you know.
Really quickly though, before we move on, I now you've piqued my interest on this screaming story. What happened with that? That was the only time you've ever left the woods?
Yeah, I was just being me, you know, pre-Survivor Man days, but definitely in my days of learning survival and teaching survival. And I went off to the woods. A buddy of mine who ran a company teaching survival, we would go off and we would practice, you know. So we went off to this area in Ontario, Canada called Moon River. No, it is the Moon River. And we went off, you know, going near that in the bush around that area, known for all kinds of like freaky stuff. So we went out there and we were building our shelters, and he was on the other side of a berm and I was on this side looking at the lake sort of thing. And yeah, at about midnight, I heard this just ungodly screaming, but it really sounded, so here's your hyperbole. It sounded like a satanic ritual where women were being tortured. That's what it sounded like, you know? And I went over to my buddy and said, Doug, can you hear that? He's snoring. He didn't even think. He's on the other side of the berm, right? So he's got a sound barrier. It was starting to snow a bit, and I said, you can stay. I'm leaving. I'm not staying here, man. There's no freaking way I'm staying here. And so we got up and we left the woods in the middle of the night. And I've never heard anything like that before or since. Again, it could have been porcupines, you know. A lot of creatures out there make some pretty freaky sounds. You echo that down through a valley or a canyon, back up through the cliffs, and by the time it gets to your ear, you're listening to a satanic ritual.
It is interesting though to me that you have all these explanations, yet I still feel like there's a little part of you telling that story that's uncertain as to what it could be. Was the sound accompanied by any sort of like feeling in you? Because I've heard really weird shit kind of in the deep woods too, and I feel like you can debunk so many of those noises just easily, but I've heard a couple scream type vocalizations that gave me just a weird chill almost, you know, like something wasn't natural, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that's really hard to explain and talk about. You know, I've been on Joe Rogan twice, you know, and if you talk to Rogan about having a feeling, then he's got to go into stand-up comedian mode and mock it, right? But he's not wrong in that it's difficult to talk about, you're like, I just got this feeling. And yet millions upon millions upon millions of people will talk about just getting this feeling, you know, and it's the hair up on the back of your neck. But yes, it's a good question because I've been around grizzly bear and wolves, polar bears, you know, black bears, cougars, you know, everything. And my instinctual feelings feel rather normal. I kind of know what to do, you know, plus I've trained in what to do around animals and stuff like that. But then you have these other situations where you not only can you not explain the occurrence, you can't explain your feeling. I trust those feelings. If the feeling to me is dark, I do something about it. There's so much of that over the millennium, you know, the evil eye, you know, and these things, you know, it's creepy as shit. Funnily enough, though, Colin, is that, now I don't want to come across as, this is not with braggadocio. I've just also always had this feeling of, well, what have I got to worry about, really? And so I have only a minor amount of fear in facing something head on, because there's a part of me that goes, you know, if it's, for example, a ghost or a demon or something like that, you know what? They're stuck in the other dimension, the other world anyway. They can't really grab me, you know? And I know it does happen to some people apparently, but I feel almost like I do with wild animals. When your confidence zone is there in a calm demeanor, it's like, almost like, look, just bring it on. I think it kind of works as a methodology to be in a creepy situation. And so I'm not going to say that I'm totally brave and I don't have any fears on those things. I do, but they're just not, they don't usually stop me in my tracks. I'm willing to open the casket and see what's in there, sort of thing, because I know in the end it's going to be something probably that I can explain. Until you can't explain it, that's when shit gets real. I've had many instinctual feelings that were absolutely proven to be correct. No prior knowledge. I should not know this, but I feel this, so I'm going to do X to prevent Y. And then sure enough, Y shows itself to be there after all of that goes through me, right? And I think this is why I'm such a nature nut, why my whole life is about being in nature. Because I think when you're in nature, you're allowing all of your regular tangible senses. So what do we have? You know, touch, taste, sight, sound, smell. I think that instinct is when those 5 senses all work in perfect union at the same time. That's what I think instinct is. In nature, I believe you have not the only, but a better, a stronger opportunity for them to connect. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's lots of stories I would never tell in a podcast, but maybe with a beer, you know, and I'd say, well, no, there was this time, there's this time, there was this time, there's this time, because I remember them, because I'm very big on the subject of instinct, so I make note, and I'm not fooling myself, you know. This is literally, you know, walk into a room, make an instinctual decision. It's not a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it's outside of you. The thing that you were worried about, looking forward to, because it doesn't have to always be dark. The instinct can be for something positive too. Happens. And you had no prior knowledge. So there's the thing in terms of the feeling. And I think when you're out in the woods, and so, you know, in Alaska, for example, before that day happened, the day before I was getting water, and on camera, for the sake of my Survivor Man series, which has nothing to do with Bigfoot, I say to the camera, you know, I feel like I'm being watched. Now, I'm in the woods all the time. And it's my contention that you're always being watched in the woods. Constantly. If the spider on the branch is watching you, you're always being watched when you're in the woods by something. Something is always watching you. But that's not this. This was like, oh, something's like intently watching me. I was getting water and I got out of that area, away from that creek, kind of toot sweet. Like, okay, I got my water here. I'm done here. I got my fresh water. I'm moving on. But I never forgot feeling like being watched. And then it was the next day that I had the experience in the tree. The next thing, your question is, I cannot answer. It's the what Bigfoot is. But what I can say about it is this: you have what it's kind of like a I don't know, a dial, let's say. And on this side of the dial, it's a Gigantopithecus. It's a big smart ape. And over on this side of the dial, it's an alien, and it travels through portals. And then you have a gradients of everything in between. What I like to bring it down to, and what I learned from doing a whole year, you know, on the documentary series, you have attributes. And this phenomenon, that's what I call it, the phenomenon, has attributes. What are the attributes? That's what let's go to the attributes. When you're over here, it's like, well, it defecates, it smells, it has fur, it has to eat something. So maybe it eats elk and salmon and gathers berries and digs up tubers and roots and shoots and stuff like that. You know, it vocalizes, it screams. You know. But then, you know, you start to move the gradient a bit, and it's like people start talking. Many people talk about mind speak, telepathy, that it's communicated with me in my brain. I tell a big story on that. And then you get further, you know, and you're getting into the, it's like, well, it has cloaking abilities, you know, well, you know, so do octopus. It can do infrasound, like and make you weak in the knees. You know what? So can lions. So you start to see the attributes sound paranormal, but yet you think about it, no, well, you can actually link it to biology. Mm-hmm. You know, if a lion can go or whatever it does, lower than a sound that you can hear to the human ear, and it makes a gazelle go upset stomach, that gazelle is now easy prey, because all of us are easy prey when we're gonna vomit. That's just a thing that a lion can do. You know, what else can, you know, dolphins do, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then you start getting into, you know, well, with the cloaking ability, can it cloak? People talk about, you know, it cloaking sort of like half of its body and dissolving into the trees. Now we're the gradient's starting to get like this, right? Now it going like a predator. It just seems to cloak right into the tree like Predator from the Schwarzenegger films, right? And then you just keep going until you're like, and it just seems to be able to travel in and out of portals between dimensions. Which, of course, you can't just say that. You have to now discuss dimensions and I don't know, time travel. So it's that's the way I look at it. And so with my new, you know, I'm doing this Kickstarter campaign to produce my new film. It's been 10 years since I worked on the documentary series. Perspectives have changed. More information's come to light. And the way I look at it is each of these gradients have their own sets of questions. And I want to answer those questions specifically and in detail. When I'm over here on this far side of the scale, I will talk to Professor Jeff Meldrum, who's an expert in, you know, in the biology of it. When I get over to this side, I'll talk to people who really, you know, are into portals and travel and aliens and stuff like that. And then in between, we got lots of different people, and some people hem and haw and they're not sure, and, you know, that sort of thing. But it's really, you know, almost like an investigation to kind of, if not once and for all, at least at this state in time or date in time, to come up with some definitive answers as we know it now. Because otherwise, it's a mishmash of people and everybody throwing out their claims.
To even talk about that gradient idea, it's like paranormal, you know, as well, relating that to my work. You have people that, you know, believe fully in demons and possession and exorcisms and like the full like existence of these beings, and then you have the skeptics that say everything is completely explainable. And I'm in the middle, where there's so much that you can debunk, but I know that it's real because of my own experiences. And Bigfoot and these creatures, I look at it the same way that I look at, you know, paranormal activity. You can't have millions of people across, with the paranormal specifically, across the planet that have had these experiences for thousands of years, and there's not a single grain of truth to any of it. I mean, with Bigfoot, you've got hundreds of thousands of sightings, and they have those same, like you said, characteristics oftentimes. So there has to be something going on. I just don't understand. This is what I was going to say. It's like ghost hunting. No one has ever caught a full figure ghost on camera. At least, you know, not definitively where no one's debunked it. And I know there have been people that have said they have, but it's the same with Bigfoot. But the signs are there. The existence shows itself. I mean, through our investigations we've seen. Why do you think that there's no video or photo of Bigfoot? I mean, genuinely, I like the idea of the cloaking. My dad and I were talking about that, you know, with all these different animals, even like chameleons, how they're able to disguise themselves. There has to be something like that with these creatures.
Yeah, again, you get back into attributes, you know. Let's take, for example, what your question sort of leads to trail cams, you know, and the way I, you know, first of all, there aren't as many trail cams out there as people think. There's, you know, millions of trail cams all out in the woods or all, actually, no, there's not. There isn't, you know. I could go and walk for months in the back 100 square hectares behind my house. There's not a single trail camera there. So first of all, that. Now, if we look at something though like that and say, yeah, but how come not even one? Well, and some people would say, well, they have been captured on camera. You know, they would argue that point, say, no, they haven't. It's like, you know, they have been hit by cars before. You know, they have been captured before. You know, so people there's that argument. And I think that's one of the points of me doing this film, which I'm calling The Question of Bigfoot. Because you know what I'd love at the end of this film? I would love for what's this? Oh, I'll watch this. Isn't that Stroud guy that did all the Survivor Man stuff? Okay, well, let's watch this. You know, we got time. It's on, here it is, it's on Netflix. Boom. I want them to get to the end of this film and go, well, what do you know? Wow. That's all I want. That's all I want. That's enough. I don't need them to go, wow, you're right, there is a Bigfoot. I just want them to go, well, I never thought about that, man. Holy shit. Like, okay, all right. That's what I want, because then you it's like my attempt to minimize the snickering. I'm keeping this as real as it possibly can be, so that you can't snicker, so you can look at it and go, okay. That's where I go with that. I mean, for example, too, you have, I'm sure within the scope of the paranormal, certainly within the scope of Bigfoot, I mentioned all these gradients. Well, what does that mean? It means you have a lot of people who believe very strongly somewhere along this dial what Bigfoot is. I learned very quickly, making Survivor Man Bigfoot, wow, there's all these different camps. And these people they're so set. They have drank all their individual Kool-Aids and they are locked into these camps. And they all want me, because I'm that guy with the TV series, they want me to be, you know, in their camp. And I realized very quickly, I'm nobody's poster boy here. I want to know what Jeff Meldrum has to say about Gigantopithecus and relic hominids and so on. And I want to know what, you know, David Paulides has to say about, I don't know, aliens. And I want to know everything in between. You know, what Ron Moorhead has to say about vocalizations, and Bigfoot Stacy Brown Jr. has to say about his skunk ape experiences in Florida. I want to know all of those things, right? That's how I approach it. And I think that's just, I guess I believe that's the right way to approach it, you know.
How many potential experiences, whether it's like audio or just things you've found or come across, do you think you've had throughout filming all of the stuff that you've filmed over the years?
I mean, just a quick random 1, 2, 3. And then we get into doing the series 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, so maybe between 9 and a dozen different things where I went, what? Can I swear on your show?
Of course.
Where I went, what the you know, and then I'm pulling in all of my instincts. I'm pulling in all of my knowledge of natural history, of wildlife, and I'm left with a big fat, okay, that's outside of all of that, and I'm not. And then sometimes you're like, oh crap, now I got one of those stories, you know, sort of thing. I mean, I have a story of an orb. I never in my life thought I would ever have a story of an orb, but I have a story of an orb, and so does Devin, my buddy. We both have the same story because we were both there and awake and looking at it for 15 minutes. What do you make of that? A floating ball of light 15 feet away? I got nothing.
What are, in your mind, like the most common things that people experience when it comes to Sasquatch, or like even in your personal experience, what's the most common thing that's happened?
Well, one is this interesting sense of feeling nauseous. I had that, and it's intriguing, you know, why that? Why do people even mention that? But they do, you know, and not just like 2 people have mentioned that, but many people will get into this comment about how they felt nauseous. And then it brings me back to that whole, you know, lion and the gazelle kind of thing, you know, or is it that much fear wrapped up in our bellies that we just instantly feel nauseated, The other one is the smell. I've never experienced that, but common is that just this smelling of this horrible smell, which I imagine would make sense if you've ever smelt somebody who's been in the woods for a month on a canoe trip. They reek to high heaven, And that's another one there. The fear, an interesting one, weird one, and I experienced this, is now when I said it, in Alaska, I wanted to go turn my camera on, but I didn't want to move. When I did move, it took off. I did experience some lights. I've told this story before. So, some lights on the top of the mountain when I was doing Survive Man Bigfoot up there in Radium Springs and British Columbia, and 4 massive lights. And it wasn't an airway. It wasn't airspace. It wasn't, they weren't airplanes. I watched for a while, huge lights in the sky. And they eventually, it's almost like I looked away for a bit, went over to stoke the fire, came back, and they were gone. I wasn't high, I wasn't tired, everything was great, I had 5 cameras with me. Why didn't I film it? Another phenomenon is, why don't, we often don't remember to frickin' take a picture or to film. And in my case, I'm a bloody filmmaker. That's what I do. And I didn't even think to film these things. They seem separate to what I was there for, which was this Bigfoot thing. And I did experience some other stuff that night. Why didn't I film them? And a lot of people, it's the same thing. And that's another interesting phenomenon that seems very common, is we're so caught up in the moment. And it sounds like a cop-out, this is why I didn't get the picture. But it really happens a lot. And I think we were experiencing something that's so outside of the norm of our regular everyday life that taking a photograph or pressing record on the video doesn't even occur to us. We're caught up. That happened to me, on the one occasion, it happened to me, and I'm a freaking filmmaker. And to this day, do I regret not filming the lights in the sky? Hell yes, I do.
Have you ever heard any scary, frightening stories about Bigfoot? Like anything that made you kind of step back and think, wow, that's eerie?
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly enough, I was talking with one Bigfoot researcher about this one time, and it really made sense. If we're talking about a phenomenon, a species that might be in the numbers of 30 to 45,000 or something like that, maybe more, maybe less across North America, you know what you're going to get? Differences. You're going to get malevolence, you're going to get benevolence, you're going to get benign. You're going to get, situations that can be dangerous and others that could be unbelievably awesome. Because you hear stories of them connecting to people in ways that are beautiful, and you hear stories of them connecting to people in ways that feel very scary and very dangerous. Why wouldn't you have personality differences? You have personality differences with dogs and lions and birds and freaking insects probably. Why wouldn't you have personality differences with such a species? It only makes sense. So could there be some that don't like the hidden existence that they have to live and could be dangerous? Well, there's lots of stories to that too. The whole, the Headless Valley story up in northern Canada is often been said to, they thought might be, Sasquatch, where these guys are found all headless, stuff like that. And abduction by Sasquatch, there definitely is. I think there's both. You're going to get both, and you're also going to get ages, right? You're going to have youth and teenagers and adults, so being in the territory of a lone male Sasquatch that is maybe in between family groups and if we're going to think of it in those terms, that might be a dangerous one to be around, just like it might be dangerous to be around, a moose, a bull moose in the rutting season. That's what I think accounts for that. I think so. Could they be dangerous? Yes. Am I worried about that when I'm out there? No. Do I think about it? A bit.
Right. Well, man, this has been really interesting. I can't thank you enough for just telling me about all this. We could end up talking, I know, for like 10 hours. There's just so much. But before we're done, do you want to plug like the Kickstarter and everything that you're working on?
Yeah, and I mean, what you just said there, the reason why we could go on and talk for a long, long time is because it's so freaking fascinating. It's not about the magic of what's out there, of which Rogan would mock me for. It's about why the not be interested. It's cool as shit. Ghosts, are you kidding me? That's cool. It's like, but it's all a bunch of nonsense. Well, you don't know that. It's like saying you know what's going to happen after we die. You don't know. Something happens. We know that. There's a yes and a no, but you don't know what it is. So don't do that to ghosts. Don't do that to aliens. Don't do that to Sasquatch. Don't do that to Dogman and little people and all the rest. I just think it's cool as shit to find out about this stuff. It opens you up to a wide, like just about anything else that we learn about in life. It's pretty cool stuff. most of us are not obsessive. We're just, what do you want me to be into? Pickleball? What do you want me to be obsessive about pickleball? You know, you want me to be obsessive about friggin' watching football? And the cool thing, I will say this before I get into my Kickstarter thing, is this. The cool thing about Bigfoot and all the research is, if, for example, a group of 14-year-olds, they want to go out into the bush and they're going to look for Bigfoot tracks. Maybe they're supervised, whatever, the whole city. You know what I hear when I hear that? I hear some 14-year-olds who want to go out into the bush. That's what I hear, hard stop, because it's about getting people out in nature. That's the beautiful side part of the Sasquatch phenomenon, not so much with aliens and ghosts, but with Sasquatch is you got to go out in nature. Love that. That's what I'm all about. So it really connects with my mission anyway. So with this mission in mind, yes, I've launched a Kickstarter campaign. If your viewers and listeners see this or hear this before January 4th, 2025, the Kickstarter campaign is running, kickstarter.com. The Question of Bigfoot. Just do that search, The Question of Bigfoot. And, you know, filmmaking is expensive, as we all know it. And so this will help me and my editor, Barry Farrell, to do more, you know, with the film. And I am going to put my all, this is going to be a 90-minute feature film. I'm going to put my all into this thing. And I want to make a beautiful, powerful, compelling film with no silly hyperbole, you know. And I think a lot of the times, and you know this, you know, so many films are nothing more than camera angles. Like, oh, here comes the aerial shot over the misty forest again, you know, and here's the eyewitness, you know, and we're going to line up 17 eyewitnesses to tell their stories, and we're going to do some recreation of their story. We're going to cut to some jaggedy footage. I'm not doing any of that crap, you know, and it's fine. It's entertaining, but that's not where I'm at. I really want to answer these questions for people in a much more documented, like you're watching a true documentary kind of way. I really like to finish this off with a film I'm very, very proud of. And that's hence the Kickstarter campaign. So yeah, so thanks for this, man.
Yeah, man.
Those stories from Les were absolutely intriguing. This is a man that spends, I'd say, like half of his life alone in the wilderness, and he's had these experiences. He didn't go into this wanting to be a Bigfoot hunter, a Sasquatch investigator. He was just a guy who loved the wilderness, and over time, he had these core experiences that he just couldn't explain. And that's what drives a lot of people to enter this field of research. It's kind of like me with the paranormal. It just takes that one hardcore experience to convert you into a believer and make you want to chase that high of that experience the rest of your life. But before our big investigation that night, we knew we had to stop by one of the famous local restaurants and get ourselves a Bigfoot burger.
There you go. Perfect. So we're here at the Woodsman Cafe in Remer, Minnesota. These guys have great home cooked food. Everything on the menu is absolutely wonderful. They are a sponsor of our at the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference and have been sponsoring us since day one, along with the Remer Hotel and Campground and Bigfoot Gas and Gifts.
So you guys got the Bigfoot burger?
Yeah, Bigfoot burger, double the patty.
Oh shit!
I just single.
Just single.
I'm not big dog.
That's going to be on the table here. Who can finish what?
What'd you get?
I got almost a Bigfoot burger. Then it chickened out.
Cheeseburger, hash browns, and a piece of pie.
And Mom?
Mary got the Bigfoot burger.
Oh yeah. She's a vegetarian, if you don't know.
The squash soup.
Oh.
Baked potato.
Wow. And I got mashed potatoes, roast beef sandwich.
Mashed potatoes.
I don't know. No, I'm good. All right.
Oh my God.
So here's the Bigfoot, and here's the double Bigfoot.
Wow.
You guys gotta tell us how they are.
If I can get my mouth around it.
That's what I was going to say.
Do you think you can do it, Abe?
I'm intrigued.
It will happen. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's really coming in with your pop.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my.
Holy shit. Holy shit. that is a Bigfoot burger. Wow, man.
That's really good.
And I got this hot beef.
I was on the verge of getting that.
Hey everybody, it's Colin here. Thank you for watching today's video. Hello to all the new subscribers and hello to the rest of our beautiful, wonderful, spooky family. As you know, every single week here on the channel, we give away a free gift bag to one lucky viewer of the show. And this week, to enter the contest, all you have to do is like today's video, let's smash that like button, and comment Bigfoot in the comment section below. I'm going to give y'all 10 seconds to do this now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So go comment. You can comment multiple times. It helps the video so much. But anyways, let's get back to today's video. Thank you for listening to my little spiel. I love you guys so much, and stay spooky. And suddenly, it was time to head out into the deep woods. So we loaded up our vehicles and headed outside of town to a dirt road that led deep into the forest. I have to admit, I was a little bit on edge. We weren't just dealing with spirits here. We're dealing with creatures that could get territorial, could get angry, that we don't fully understand. And this got dark. All right, guys, so right now we are deep in the woods outside of Remer. And tonight we're with Abe, and we're going to be hunting for Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call this thing. We're in an area right now that is known for the cluster of sightings that have occurred in or near this immediate, area. And already, right when we got out of the car, I heard something moving to my left, and now Abe heard, what did you hear, Abe? Like a knock?
Not 100% sure. It could have been somebody firing off a gun. But heard something. Can't quite say for sure yet. In time will tell.
So, I don't know if you guys can really feel this, but it's fucking creepy out here, man. It is like really creepy. And tonight, in order to try to get the Sasquatch to actually approach us, we're not going to be using white light. That light is a red light. So with my main camera, everything's going to be in red tonight so that we don't scare this thing away. It's a little bit spooky, thinking of the stories of Sasquatch attacking people and, just some sort of unidentified gigantic primate. And we're way out in the middle of nowhere. But, Abe, you got anything to say before we begin?
Yeah, nobody's going to hear a scream.
Oh. Well, how reassuring. Thank you, my friend.
That's comforting, yes.
No, in this area, a few years back on Mother's Day, some people were riding their side-by-sides, and they had a sighting about right where we're standing. So we're going to walk. There's a lake just right behind me, a good distance, and we're going to walk and we'll do some vocalizations, do some knocks, do some call blasting, and see if we can solicit a response.
So before we go, I gotta ask a question. What happens if a Bigfoot, let's say, comes out of the woods and starts running at us?
Group closer together and get behind me. I got 3,000.
Oh, there you got it.
I got some protection. I don't use a firearm, but I do got some. This burns at 3 million scopal heat units.
Not to mention
Wow.
there are bears out here as well.
I'll just spray somebody in the eyes and I'll run.
Oh, yeah. Get him.
Kidding.
Yeah. Please take Connor.
Jeff starts acting up.
All right. Well, you ready?
Squatch on.
Squatch on. That's hard.
Yeah, I can hold that light.
How's it been?
Yeah, what was that? How's it done, huh?
Got something going on right here that's reflecting the green. There's like three somethings back there.
What is that? What's that red glowing stuff? Let's keep this on.
So these are actually used by hunters. So when they're at night, they know how, or in the evening, they know how to get to their stand. It's just a way of marking a trail, basically.
Oh.
What it is, it's just a little clip, a reflective clip that's reflective on both sides. So they can shine the light on it, they can see how they get back.
Okay.
That's smart.
Cool.
Oh, you hear that?
Yeah,
Wait.
They're gonna be slick, you guys.
Abe.
Abe.
Did you hear that? It was like a...
There's a weird vibe out here. I like it.
So seeing that we're at a fork in the road or a Y or a split, why don't we do some vocalizations or knocks or something like that in hopes of getting a response. And if we do get a response, we can head in that direction, to the left or to the right, or wherever the response came from, if we get one.
Perfect.
So I'm going to use that tree. We're going to start out with some wood knocks.
This is your wood knocker tool?
Yeah, it's my doorbell. It's what we hit against the tree, and it gives off a great acoustical sound. And this is one of the tools that we use to try to solicit a response. All right, I'm going to find a tree here. See what we could stir up. Thought I heard something coming from my 7 to 8 o'clock position. If it was something, it was just one something. Whatever it was, I wouldn't call it a wood knock just yet.
What was that vocalization? Yeah, what was that?
I didn't even hear that.
What?
Oh my god.
You didn't hear that?
No, I had this over my ear at the time.
It was long.
Dude, it was like a 5-second scream from over there.
It was like, that's why I said, what the f?
And they said, shh.
Well, I heard them say shh. No, I didn't.
Dude,
they came from back. That's over here.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a howl.
It literally sounded like a howler monkey.
Responded to your knock.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Should you do it one more time?
Yeah, should we do some? Yeah, we'll do some more knocks.
Okay. Dude, that was f***ing crazy.
What the hell? So coming from that way, what I want to do when we're knocking, we want to kind of angle. What I like to do is I like to angle the tip of the bat in the direction where I want to broadcast it or have the sound travel to. Are you hearing that?
Yeah, what is that? Is that an owl?
Really hard to say. All right, I'm gonna do a howl.
Oh shit!
Everybody backs.
Oh, here it goes. Yeah, sweet.
It's very high pitched.
That was crazy though.
Dude, I can't believe you didn't hear that, man. That was fucking wild.
Did your audio pick it up?
Yeah.
Really?
That was
100
really
so
loud.
It came from over there.
So this hat's like double layered.
Oh.
It's good
I gotta take my ear out here.
That's literally, I took my ear.
Yeah.
Dang it. So I think what we'll do is we'll stay on the path that's easier to travel.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can, whatever it is, we'll just pick up our scent and follow us back. If it is what we hope it is, that'd be awesome. But if not, this way we have a path of least resistance in case we do need to get out here quicker. All right, we'll be back.
Sounds good.
That's f***ing making it creepy, man. So guys, what are you thinking right now? Wow, I think it's super interesting. That, whatever you want to call it, that long yell or scream, that was really cool. I didn't recognize it.
It didn't sound like a coyote.
It did not sound like a coyote.
I literally was like,
I know.
Oh, for sure. We used to hear a lot of coyotes on the farm, and I've never heard anything at all like that. It's kind of shocking just to
It's
get out here and hear
shocking.
that.
I thought he was hearing that, and it was like, he didn't react. So I'm like, what? Doesn't he hear that?
I know.
And he didn't. So.
it's wild. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but that fast, having a response, I mean, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, when we did the Falk monster hunt, it was exactly like this, and we were way deep in the swamp, and I heard noises similar to that echoing from like the swamp, and that just now gave me the same feel that I got back then. And like I keep hearing like noises. Do you? Like footsteps? Dude, it's fucking eerie back here, man.
Spuddy, I love you.
Now, this is a message to everybody online. If you ever get the chance to go Bigfoot hunting with your mom.
Oh,
what the fuck is that? Listen.
What was it?
Right here. It was running. Did you hear that?
If it was anything bigger, and if it didn't want us here, it would make itself known.
Holy shit. You heard that though,
Oh
right?
yeah, I heard
my
it.
God.
It was right behind us.
God, this is a spooky night. I just ran right into that. I couldn't see. You guys got any Bigfoot jokes? Mary?
Let's see, knock knock.
Who's there?
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot who? Oh, jeez.
We're talking about Bigfoot nests and Bigfoot stuff like that. I have colleagues that's out in the Pacific Northwest of the Olympic project. I gotta give them mad props, much respect. They're our brothers in research. They have came around alleged Bigfoot nests, and how these nests are built is with different layers of different vegetations and stuff like that to give them some insulation from the cold, hard ground, and also kind of like a mattress. It softens it so they're not right up against the ground as well.
What? Something here. I heard that.
Something was more beside me than that.
Is that a kid?
Let's go for a walk.
Do you hear it back here?
Let's go in.
Do you have to worry about ticks out here?
Not this time of year. There's something right here.
What do you mean?
It could be just a deer scraping.
What does it look like?
Yeah. Doing one of these things in the leaves. I wouldn't say it just happened right now, but something was there at one time.
Watch out, there's trees. Ow. I know. That's pretty ominous. A little eerie.
Shall we venture deeper?
Isn't this the road that we were just on?
Yeah.
Well, we just made a big horseshoe. Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Well, you don't want to stay too far off the trail at night. You can have
No, I don't want to go too far.
I feel like we're being stalked by not only Bigfoot, but maybe coyotes or a mountain lion or a bear.
Oh, that's great.
Hold up. Just seeing the reflection or a light. Like a yard light or something, a street light.
What's that little thing right there?
A rock.
What's that coloring on it? Or no, I thought there's graffiti.
So I want to say that the lake is probably right in this direction.
That's fine.
I remember walking all this all by myself.
No, that's a little too much for me.
All by myself, but it was in the daytime.
Well, that makes it better.
It makes it a lot better because you can see what's hiding behind a tree.
What were you saying about the Bigfoot nests before that?
Oh yeah, thank you. So our colleagues of the Olympic Project in the Pacific Northwest, they've been documenting these alleged Bigfoot nests, and they're, like I was saying, they were made out of different kinds of vegetation, like huckleberry, like evergreen, and some different sticks and leaves and stuff like that. And they brought a primatologist out there, and the primatologist said this very much resembles of what a gorilla bed would look like.
What's the deal with like this?
What's the deal with what?
This tree that's...
This bent?
Yeah.
Wind. Yeah. There's a lot of bent trees. What's to deal with this one being snapped right there?
Oh, that's interesting about the neck.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Colin, do you want to try some knocking?
Sure.
Get a nice front grip on my wood.
Oh, don't come off.
And thing is, you want to try to use the head of the bat. Tap the tree a couple times. See, you can hear a sound difference. Right in there sounds very acoustical. So that's where I would hit. And when you get the camera rolling.
You guys ready? Watch me play with my wood. I think I'm hearing something over there.
Do two. Not picking anything up. I had you do 2 more because I thought from a long distance, like if it was something, it was over a mile away. But I can't be too sure of it. So I'm that researcher that's not just going to say, oh, it was a Bigfoot. I need definitive proof. I'm not just going to say it was done by a Bigfoot. We're the whole team. We're that disciplined. So we just don't jump on the Bigfoot bandwagon, so to speak. We have to hear a definitive knock or a definitive haul for us to say, hey, maybe that was. So, and I didn't hear that. So, do you guys feel like going further?
Yeah. You go further or back? Are we close to the lake, do you think?
Good question. I think we are, honestly.
I can check.
I don't think we're too far away.
If we get to the lake, that'd be really cool.
Right. And then once we get to the lake, we could do some vocalizations and have that travel across the water.
Isn't it like if you knock by the lake, it would
Sound
travel?
travels. Absolutely. Sound travels on water.
Let's go down to the lake.
All right. Here's your wood back.
Oh, you do a good job handling it. I won't tell her.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. What happens in the woods.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And that's just how we are when we're out in the woods as a team. We're giving each other, punting each other and
Playing with each other's wood.
Well, we pass it around. So
Sharing is caring.
Stays within the team.
Be interesting back there where we got that sound would be. He didn't hear. If we
sound
could
was
duplicate
really
that. That was real. I hope the camera really picks that up well.
I guarantee it did.
That was loud.
It's blinking. Okay, the lake is right there. We're having a tower reflect off the water.
I gotta say, being back here is a once-in-a-lifetime, very interesting opportunity. And when you're here, the more you realize ghost hunting and Bigfoot hunting aren't all that different. You're still, with ghost hunting, you're asking, hey, can you make a noise? Can you tell us this? And with Bigfoot, you're doing the same thing, but you're using like wooden knocks and vocalizations. So I think it's really, really interesting. It feels like we're on a ghost hunt right now, but just for a 10-foot tall humanoid chimpanzee brute. Doesn't it feel a lot like ghost hunting?
Yes, it really does.
I love the feel of the woods. At night like this.
And this quiet. It's so quiet. Just still. And we can't even hear the wind anymore.
Man, we're really going downhill here.
I know. It looks like we're in another world.
Oh my god, it's so cool.
It's like it doesn't even capture what it actually looks like, though. I mean, guys, this has to be one of the eeriest visuals I've ever seen, isn't it?
Just like complete darkness on the side.
Uh-huh.
And then just like the one little beam of light coming through.
I mean, it looks like we've like crossed over into like
a different realm.
Yeah, like fucking what's the Hades? Like crossing the river Styx. Holy shit, it's dope.
So crazy.
Wait, stay right there. You look really weird. Mom, look at this.
Him.
Doesn't he look strange?
Ooh. What is that?
It looks like a cryptid.
It does.
It's like the Marshmallow Man.
Get on.
How's the workout?
Oh my god, Connor took his hat off. You're rocking like a Chicken Little.
Oh, Jeff or Mary, that oak tree right there looks like a pretty good tree. Oak is a hardwood.
Yeah. Wet. Picture some going over.
Here, take this light with you. See you guys.
What of you?
So how is done, my young Padawan? Okay, guys, so we're at a lake. It's going to be a great opportunity to do some vocalization and some wood knocking because that sound is going to travel across the lake very much faster than if we are in the woods because it's a great big open area. So Mary, if you could, that tree running in front of you is an oak tree. It's a hardwood tree. If you could hit the tree
between 1 to 3 times, see if we can try to solicit a response. The best way to do it is try to use the tip of the bat more so than the middle of it. Yep, correct. Whenever you're ready. Nice, right there.
I'm sorry. Like chopping wood.
What happened to that? Where is it?
I think you should.
You gotta
There it
hit.
is.
You're hitting,
You
I
should
think, the
build
middle of
other
it,
with
Mom.
your
You gotta hit the
strength.
tip.
Oh.
Your strength.
Oh. Mom, try it one more time.
Gosh, dang
Really
it.
try to get.
I think, Mary.
I think it's right here.
I think, Mary, though, you have to swing with your this way. You're doing this way. Get your
Like-
strength.
Well,
Let me hold this back.
if I was on the other side of the tree.
Well, no, just turn. Look at. Go like this. Turn this way.
This way?
Look at that. Yes. Yes.
Well, then they're not going to see me.
Well, Mary, hit it
What?
right over here.
Oh.
Right there. And if you want, look at them when you're swinging.
Nice. Beautiful.
Good.
Mom, good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same tree.
Go back. You guys are like Beavis and Butthead or something over there.
Seriously, this branch right here, she's holding snap back almost killed me. Okay, sorry. Okay,
You guys are doing just fine.
here we go.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Why did you drop it?
You're confusing the Sasquatches, man.
I thought I did bad.
Dropping at the bat. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet so we can hear.
I think we need a different tree.
Okay, Jeff, let me give you some advice.
This thing
Hit it down.
It's like
one right
spongy
behind
right
Mary.
here.
Try
It's
the one
spon-
right behind Mary. Yeah, what about that one right there?
Now that's
That
a
was-
good tree.
That was perfect comedic timing. I think we need a new tree.
Oh, this is better. Oh, yeah.
Did you fucking put lotion on your hands?
What?
What the hell?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jeff.
Okay,
Jeff,
Jeff,
do you want me to
you
show
got
you
it.
how to do
Good job.
Yep, there we go.
You got
That's,
it. Wait,
we
do
got it.
one good one and we'll be quiet and try to hear.
It's better with or without my glove. What do you do, Abe? think we got faulty trees down here.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we could hear it over there.
Here, Mom, take the can. Like 3.
Okay.
Jeff, do it.
Is it running?
Yeah. If you just heard knocks, how many should you do?
How many did you hear?
I heard 3.
Do 3 back.
3?
I didn't pick it up even with the parabolic, but
okay.
If you think you heard 3, do 3 back.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard something.
Yeah, we should try some calls. There was a little vocalization that I heard.
Master Dad over here.
Hey.
Wow.
So what I'd like to
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
You guys did.
Had to get the hang of that.
Never gave up, even though you probably should have.
I was hanging on down here all
hilarious.
Mary falling 3 times. Yeah. Jeff dropping the bat every single swing.
Abe, do you want your bat?
Oh,
sure.
It looks like it would be easy. That's like.
That tree right there, I will admit, it's really soft right there.
Jeff, can we get a post-game analysis on that knock?
Post-game analysis. Well, first of all, the playing field was soft over there. And the cushy bark did not allow the vibration of the wood to hit it and make that sound. But then when we moved over to the other tree, then definitely I felt my game come together. Kept the hold of the bat, and I got sound that reverberated.
Well, I did want to say, you did drop the bat a couple times on the second tree. Is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, what do you make of those
Second
allegations?
tree? I don't remember dropping on the second tree. Really?
CTE.
Yeah.
He's got a concussion.
Oh. I did have to re-grip the bat.
Yeah.
I'm a little low on the bat.
Yeah.
So when I choked up on the bat, sweet spot. Yeah.
That was really fucking funny, guys. That was really. Oh my God, is that a spider floating in the air?
Look at that right above you. It is.
Yeah.
It's coming down to you. Wow, interesting.
Absolutely. So this is a Fox Pro game caller. We use it as call blasting and trying to solicit a response from Bigfoot. Earlier I talked about the Ohio Howl. Have you guys heard of the Ohio Howl? As I mentioned, it was recorded by Matt Moneymaker back in 1994 of the BFRO, and this is what the Ohio Howl is. that's
intense.
that's an actual recording of the Ohio Howl, and that's what we got trapped in between two of them here in Minnesota. One from coyotes that were going out to the right, and then we had the Ohio Howl, and then we had that one going off doing the same vocalization to our left. Again, that was back in 2018 at an undisclosed location. So along with that, there are different other vocalizations like Bigfoot screams, Bigfoot whooping, I guess you could say. And this is a Bigfoot whooping.
Dude, that's exactly what we heard right at the beginning.
I think you should let him hear that.
That's exactly what we heard at the very beginning.
Oh, wow. What do you call that one?
Whooping.
It's a whoop. Yeah. So that's what you guys heard that I couldn't hear, huh?
That's exactly what we heard at the beginning.
Like, I swear, that's almost exactly the noise that we heard. That's so crazy, dude.
This one's called Samurai Chatter. Human. That's the Bigfoot. It's human. I believe that was Ron Moorhead interacting with that Bigfoot.
I can't get over the fucking whoop.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we heard at the beginning.
Should I broadcast the whoops?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to turn this thing up on
I only got
steroids.
one thing to say to that, my friend.
Yes.
Whoop whoop.
Whoa. I think it wouldn't have happened that much later.
Did someone f***ing fart when it got quiet?
Is there an Asquatch?
Hey, don't be placing blame where it's not due.
All right. Well, let's try it and we'll be quiet.
Okay, well, I'm starting to think you guys heard those whoops. more towards the car. I don't think it'd be a bad idea to make our way back towards in that direction. They may have followed us out this far and know where we're at.
It's kind of scary. And all our backs are to the water now, so.
I mean, we're at a safe zone. Once we get in the woods, it's free for all.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Hey, where's that bat?
I mean, seriously, guys, if they wanted to hurt us, they would hurt us. They would pick up a rock, and they're pretty dead on with a rock, throwing rocks. They use rocks to dispatch. We believe that they use rocks to dispatch animals. We know that people have been hit with rocks, and they have drawn blood from a human by hitting a human with a rock before. If they don't want us in the area, much like a gorilla, they will start throwing debris in our direction, or even do a big aggressive display of vocalizations and growls and stuff like that. So that hasn't happened yet. We haven't heard any of that, so I would say so far we're safe.
Okay. Well, I hope so.
But
all right.
I think going back.
Let's swap some batteries real quick.
Weird to actually have a little chair in there.
Oh. Up here. A little bit lost, huh? So we got a little lost off the trail. Don't exactly know where we are, but we're working our way back right now.
What's your time? It's 10:30.
Oh. You okay, Connor? Is it dead?
No.
So we're going to do an Ohio haul. I'm going to go first. Connor's going to mimic me. And the thought process behind this is to hopefully solicit a response by, we hope it would fool the Bigfoot thinking that there's two different Bigfoots or Sasquatches doing the same vocalizations. And hopefully it would think, hey, there's two of them sounding off. Maybe I'll join in or something like that. Who knows? We have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So we'll see what happens.
Perfect. All right.
You ready, big guy?
I'm ready.
Wasn't expecting that.
Maybe we all need to give a big whoop.
Yeah. I feel like the noise that we first heard was down there, and it was like towards our car.
Yeah, it was.
I think we have to go like all the way there.
It was where we entered.
Absolutely, I agree. Definitely was. Actually, it was by that first fork in the road that we came up to. So once we get there, we'll do some more stuff. I think.
That was funny though.
2 hours.
Was like,
yeah.
It's like a cute little one.
A cute little.
Pretty sure this is the area where you guys heard the whoops after I did the knock that responded to the knocks. Because right here we got a Y going off this way where we came, or the other option was going down that way, where it's not as better trail, I guess you could say. So Connor's gonna do some whoops or some knocks. There it is, and whenever you're ready, buddy. Nice job. I think so.
Oh.
Oh.
That's a howl.
Yeah.
That first time it didn't sound
No,
like
it
that.
wasn't that.
Different sound.
I'm telling you, it was exactly those whoops. The first time.
Well, at least I woke the owl up. At least I woke the owl up.
Yeah, that's good.
He was like just chilling.
You're a knock. You're a knock. You're a knock.
I heard one prior when Connor did.
Me too.
And you know, so here's what I think. I was just going to say when that owl sounded off, is that I think that they're done playing with us because it's snowing now. Yeah. And we've talked about this on the phone. It's like when the snow starts or the rain starts, it's like the activity just drops. Yeah, just seeing it time after time after time. We still caught maybe 3/4 of a mile left to get back into the car. We have nothing to lose just by stopping randomly and just doing whatever on the way out.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
That sounds perfect. Yeah. I'd like to do a couple more.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, let's not give up. We're not going without a fight. Well.
Woo! Woo! It'd be nice if Abe could hear that.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
That'll get him going.
Those vocalizations are courtesy of Ron Moorhead and Al Berry of the Bigfoot recordings from the Sierra Nevadas.
Really?
Cool.
Wow. It's so eerily quiet.
This thing's kind of heavy.
You want to put that under your jacket and put pause? So I don't know if that should get too wet because it's an old camera.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's pretty creepy out here, man.
Like Abe said, I think it's like, snowing now and it's quiet down. But you did hear something though.
I did hear something over there.
Yeah. I don't know what.
I'm doing vocalization. Well, you guys want to walk back? Alright guys, so we made it back to the car. This has been totally an incredible night. I want to thank Abe so much, honestly.
My pleasure.
For guiding us. This has been once a lifetime experience that I've wanted to do for years, but we're going to do one last little call session by the car because, I mean, our first real vocalization sounded like it came from right here. And like right when we got out of the car too, remember, I thought I heard something walking around, so it's weird.
Yeah.
Well,
What a night.
what a night.
Ignore the wreckage on the shoulder. I crossed the border into New Jersey, where a dotted line from my antenna says, may no fantasy hold my head up. Just
I don't know why our camera suddenly stopped recording audio towards the end of that clip, but basically we had Abe summarize his findings from the night, and we honestly said some pretty heartfelt goodbyes, which is why I'm kind of sad that that audio disappeared. You see, this is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. I absolutely love the mysterious, I love the unknown, and Bigfoot hunting isn't all that different from ghost hunting. This was really an experience that I was incredibly excited for, and it didn't disappoint. There's something about being out in the deep woods searching for a mysterious monster that just fills my heart up with joy, especially when I get to do it with my family and my friends. As it turns out, at the end of the day, Bigfoot hunting isn't scary. It's something that brings communities together, forges friendships, and even encourages families to hang out together. But we still weren't done with our search just yet.
Okay guys, it's the morning after our Bigfoot hunt,
and we wanted to try capture Bigfoot on camera one more time, right?
Yeah.
Will you guys explain our last trap that we're trying here?
The known method to catch a Bigfoot. Jack Link's jerky.
Very, very. This is the deal.
Yeah.
This is Bigfoot bait.
We've saved the last big bait for last.
From all the TV that I've watched, this is the foolproof way.
And Abe told us last night he's lured in hundreds of Bigfoot with that thing.
Yeah. All of them.
It's like an indispensable tool.
This particular one.
Yeah, this
Steak
cut, the beef
steak
steak.
cut,
he loves
teriyaki
this.
flavor.
Yes. All right, guys.
Let's see what happens.
Give it a shot.
Crack this open, do a couple.
Oh, wow.
All right. Should we do some calls?
Yeah, I should.
Whoop! Whoop! Bigfoot.
Wait, what was that? You hear that? Do a whoop again.
People over there.
Whoop!
See anything?
Whoop! There really are some noises. Wait! Oh my god!
Oh! Where's it coming from?
Oh my god, do you hear that?
Oh my god!
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh my god! Oh shit! Wait, hold on, guys. We got him! We got him! Wait, we finally found Bigfoot! Oh my god! He wants the turkey! He wants the turkey! Oh no!
That's all I wanted!
Alright guys, we actually got Bigfoot on camera. Now what do we do? Mr. Bigfoot, where do you go shoe shopping?
Wow.
He goes to Uggs.
He goes to Uggs.
He likes Uggs. Makes sense.
What's your favorite food?
Oh shit!
Jack Link's jerky.
I want Jack Link.
Oh my god!
Is there any
revolutionary?
Yeah.
What's your favorite drink?
I like to have some pine juice.
Oh, man. That's terrible.
All right. Well, now that we got him, Bigfoot, it was great to meet you, sir or ma'am, whatever you are.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
By the footprints that I've analyzed, it's definitely a woman.
You're a little lean though. Can I get you some food or anything? Buy you dinner?
Bigfoot's kind of short, man. He's not really that big.
You're not very impressive, actually. I'm not very afraid of you. I'll take you on.
Oh. Wait, I think that's someone wearing a mask.
Wait a second.
Wait.
Oh my God.
Mary!
Oh my god!
You don't like Jack Links?
I'm a vegetarian! No! I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you Bigfoot hunters.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching our video about our exploits hunting Bigfoot. There were some kind of weird noises just now when we did those calls.
There was.
But it's been a real fun video.
Very fun.
This has been a good one.
We love you guys.
Yeah.
Love
and
you.
Jack Links, if you're watching, sponsor us.
Good one.
Stay spooky. Bye. Oh my god, that kind of scared. Hello.